to start a new stream. Oh,
yeah, I did.
Sucks.
It's fine. They'll probably come over. Anyway.
Oh.
Here, you can paste the. You should be allowed to paste the
other
link.
People who are joining my stream now.
Yeah, I'm restarting
come on, Nightbot actually just banned me.
It's back up.
Nightbot just actually banned me.
Yeah, T-Dread streams out. He's working on getting back up. He Alt F4'd out of his
instead of Jackbox.
Instead of Jackbox. So yeah.
Edred, can you just kill Nightbot because he's so annoying? I'm trying to alert the chat that they should.
I
move to your new
can't.
stream.
I can make you a mod.
We gotta jump scare Nightbot, bros.
Can you please make me a mod?
Yeah,
I promise I won't
can
do
make you-
anything terrible to your channel.
I think you'll be alright.
Yeah, make me a mod.
So-
I promise to only do things that are really funny.
No terminal errors in here.
Oh,
With its circle, it's just gonna change your password.
All right, let me add you as a
No, I
moderator.
can't do that. Thank
Add
you.
me as a moderator. I'll only abuse
my
my
God,
powers.
I hate mod.
Let me see.
I
Look how
love
viewers I
Nightbot's
just
son.
got.
Wait,
I
wait,
just
wait.
went from like 10 to 31 in a heart.
I don't mind modding either if while you guys are doing the.
Yeah, I'll
the
add
big
you
stream.
guys as a mod.
God,
I gotta change-
I hate my
This is the
rotten
purple
Nightbot
guy's
son.
My rotten son. I love that video so much.
Justice for Withered.
Can you please paste the link to the new? Like, I've been trying to alert chat, but like.
Yeah. Are they in Hold on, let me do that. YouTube.
We've
Oh,
got
Candy
60
Bunny's
people.
here.
Yeah, I saw.
Hey, Candy Bunny, when can we collaborate?
Candy Bunny's in the
Yeah, Candy Bunny's in the
I've been
Discord.
asking you
Oh,
for
that's
like
cool.
3 months to collaborate. When are we collaborating?
Oh my
You
god.
put her on the spot like that.
Yo.
It's not if anymore. It's when.
No, yeah.
Fast.
Raven is
Gun is to your
inevitable,
head.
I fear.
Let's see if Nightbot mutes me.
Yeah,
Raven
Evil
is
dude
inevitable,
commented on
I
like
think.
5 of your videos and then gave up. Oh no, Candy's thing just got removed by Nightbot.
Oh, that's tough.
Dude, the live chat isn't
Dreads,
even.
I think your bot has a problem.
the live
problem
isn't
is
even
that it
up.
sucks.
The live isn't even up. Yeah, the chat on that last stream isn't even up anymore. Alright, customization.
Yes, it is.
It's not for me.
I lived.
Oh,
It's
okay.
peak.
I lived, you guys.
Oh,
Nice.
you did it.
Survived.
And then I had to go
True.
yell at my dad and brother because
Gibby.
I was screaming.
Hey, we gotta get me.
Oh, Gibby's here too. Nice.
What's going on?
Okay, Ben.
I've completely
I think it's time
mooched
we
viewers
start
off of
regrouping.
T-Dread.
I think it's time we start regrouping the stream.
Withered.
And kind of just organize
Yeah.
things so we can get prepared for the podcast.
Circle.
Yeah.
Alright, Withered. I made you.
Okay.
I'm making you a mod. You're a mod right now, Withered. If you want to paste the link.
Just as soon as I gave up my bot.
Here, I'll quickly explain to chat like how everything's working. So T-Dread, he's gonna be doing like the Google and everything for the podcast. I'm like more the panel and everything.
Yeah.
So there's like a really fancy setup I have later on. So if you want to see like a fancy setup and everything, that's me. If you want to see like the Google investigation stuff like that, go to T-Dreads. But for now, we're just having fun until 15
Yeah.
minutes.
I'll add people onto the thing as well.
I'm gonna.
Oh
Yes,
no,
Right
Toast watch 14 Theory.
Wait, right? Toast watch
You watched it.
Much life has been saved.
One
That's so
of
Oh
funny.
no, I'm scared. I wonder what he's gonna say to me now.
Okay, actually, you know what, Raven, that was good because now you have more viewers now. That was actually good.
Yeah.
Strategic all that
This was actually
It
all
was-
planned.
it was strategic.
Absolutely just shutting down your stream.
It was
Yeah,
strategic. It was strategic. I queued all of you.
It was totally strategic.
Alright.
all according to plan.
We're
Totally
regaining
recording.
viewership slowly but surely. So
That's
good.
fine.
Thank you for letting me mooch viewers off of you.
No problem. One praying for.
We're gonna have fun today.
All right.
I can tell.
Nightbot can't get me for spamming if I just keep hopping chats.
T-Dreads, as your mod, permission to execute Nightbot.
Can you even do that?
Braylon,
I wanna
I
do
can
that,
right
actually.
now.
You can't ban Nightbot.
I'm just nervous. Wait, can I turn off? I can turn off some. I can turn off the spamming filter on it.
Actually,
Yes,
yeah, I
please
should probably
do. Yeah,
do
I'll
that
do that.
too.
I'll
Let
do
me do that.
It would
Chat,
be
we are
in
regrouping right now.
commands. It would be
14
in
Fury
chat
killed my grandma.
moderation.
I hope it didn't.
Repetitions off, and then links off. Okay, it should be fine now.
Was that?
Nightbot should
Okay,
not be as strict right now.
Chat moderation.
Yep. Everyone's spamming
Turn that off,
14.
turn that
Everyone's
off.
just spamming
Happy when
14.
my brother just busted up
Is
your
everyone just
brother
spamming
for
14?
Right, this is. I'll play a song that's very fitting of this occasion.
The
YouTube, buddy.
Can we get everyone to spam 14 times in both chats right now?
Oh god, no. I'm gonna ban all of you for spamming. I'm gonna ban all of you for spamming.
Maybe type 14. No, this is gonna be chat all stream. This is gonna be 14.
You have permission
I was
on
gonna
my
start
channel,
just
I'm the cool
chanting
one.
it in the chat, but I figured that might derail things.
Perhaps.
T-Dread,
Look at
this.
Spam is going
Yeah, what's up?
crazy.
What's up, Withered?
You're missing some stuff. You're missing some people on.
Yeah,
the,
yeah, I know.
page
I'm getting
for the
around to it.
stream.
I'm still going and fixing all the you know.
Gotcha.
the things that I
Ugh.
appear to have messed up.
I think we said 14 a little bit more than 14 times. I'm not sure.
No. That's preposterous.
People are just getting killed by Nightbot. Like every other, it's like a game
They
of Rockstar
still
Rock,
are. I
because
turned it off.
Nightbot
Every
is on
one
spring
like
frame
freaking
now.
people
Everyone's
get
safe
banned
in
by
mind now.
Nightbot.
Okay, I'll kill Nightbot.
Yeah, no,
fine.
everyone's safe in mine.
Fine, I'll kill him.
Hey,
This is a
Jaxolotl's in
game
the
of
stream. Hi,
blood.
Jax.
All right, he's dead.
So, what are we doing? Are we doing Jackbox or are we just,
Nightbot
like,
got
chatting?
No,
right
no, we'll just chat for a little
Nightbot
bit.
killed Rightos. What have you done?
Are you serious?
We'll just chat. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll switch to the podcast.
Oh my
layout.
fucking god! Why is it killing everybody?
Wait, what happened?
5 seconds, don't worry.
It killed Rytoast apparently.
No.
Rightos, come to my stream. My stream's superior. My stream is
Dude,
superior.
why is your Nightbot not acting up? Also, I can't even
Because I
find.
dismantled it.
Where do I find banned users?
I already turned it off. Do better.
We need to follow
I
me,
don't know where you
Nightbot.
can do that.
All right, I killed Nightbot. He's dead. Where do I find banned
Nightbot's dead.
users? Where to find? I have to Google this now.
I think you have to go to like your settings and like timed out or like blocked
Yeah, it's
users.
super annoying. But it's only for like 5 seconds, and they're fine.
Oh, is
I think.
he'll be back?
Yeah, soon. He always will come back.
Also, everyone
Yeah,
is
it's
the audio
pretty
good?
incredible
So chat
that
is audio good?
before the stream even started, we figured out who the one you should not have killed is. It's Rytoast.
True.
True. Ooh.
All right. Well, now the
14
duties
came
Fury
back
killed
like he always
Rightos.
Because 14 Fury killed my Rightos, okay?
Oh no.
Okay. And then let me get rid of this.
Just shattered Nightbot. Oh god.
No, no.
Shattered Nightbot.
God.
Not
I have
Shatterbot.
floor space in my room. Everyone give me a round of applause.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Bravo.
I don't know if it'll come on mic.
It took me a week and a half, and it literally took me 3 minutes. That
Thank
was
you,
embarrassing.
Digital.
Woo.
Then add a window capture.
And there weren't even any crashes and screams of despair. Good job.
Oh yeah, actually, I completely forgot. Happy birthday, Gibby.
Yeah. Happy
Oh,
birthday.
yes,
happy
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm probably the oldest one
Please
here.
no one
Very,
sing
very
songs.
cool. Love
Behold,
it.
Jackie's box.
Please don't.
Wish Gibby a happy birthday. All the Gen Alphas in the chat. Skibidi Wisdom a merry birthday.
All right, you're banned. You're banned.
Please don't.
Oh, yeah.
He's banned. Unwithered, you can take a spot now.
Transform.
No, give me a spot. I
Sweet.
need it.
All right,
So I
perfect.
did better.
We have
Yeah.
re-optimized it. Beautiful. All right, we're still
This is
back.
peak.
All right, let me add Gibby.
We've got practically everyone who was watching before back. This is good. This
This
is
is
good.
good. This is good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me add Gibby to the thing.
I'm at 47 viewers. I'm surprised.
Woo,
That's good.
We're famous.
Doing good.
Here, I'll play this in the background for your amusement chat. Enjoy.
Oh no, he's withering again.
I've heard this. I've heard this way too many times lately.
Nope.
I have
Oh,
not
we were
yet.
just talking about this
should.
yesterday. I haven't done it yet.
I need to.
Would you like me to read it aloud to the crowd?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Have the scores in it.
Okay.
Oh,
it's
we should. Were we gonna do the 2025 at the end?
Oh,
Bingo card, but
perfect.
sure, go for
All
it.
the better. All the better.
It's so good. so my JoJo's bingo card. So my free space is
Yup.
Tesla recall. We
Yeah.
have, Trump assassination attempt number 4. A Luigi copycat. I'm
Oh my
afraid
God.
that the second movie's gonna flop.
This is very different than I thought it was going
This
to
is
be.
great.
More voter regret.
I thought this was gonna be
More
FNaF.
voter regret.
We have made political.
We're
We're officially
gonna get,
political.
Another. Oh my God, this isn't even politics. This
Oh
is just
God.
guessing what's about to happen. Trump's gonna get impeached again. I'm also gonna put on.
This
there,
isn't political.
Biden
Trump's gonna get
willy-nilly
impeached.
Biden's gonna get
This is
impeached
not
again.
political. Though.
I thought this was a
God.
FNAF one. I thought this was purely FNAF.
This is not
we should
purely-
put
No, this is us seeing into the future.
Yes, the downfall of Boeing.
It's a car.
Of what?
Would be epic. Would be epic.
What would happen
Wars,
even?
Gas prices.
Yup.
How could it get any worse?
So you know how we had the Kamala SNL skit that was
Yeah.
really funny? We need the
I don't
Trump
know,
SNL.
Prince.
We need Trump's follow-up.
Preston hasn't happened yet.
Okay, this one's gonna be crazy. Did y'all see a Gypsy Rose Blanchard had her baby?
What?
You know,
None of that
Did
was
you
none of that was
My
English.
viewers went down to 28.
Oh no.
Get robbed.
Yeah, we should probably not talk about this.
Every
on a
man for
FNAF
himself.
stream.
Also, yeah, I've lost like 20 viewers too. You should relax.
That's hated.
Alright, let me put on
Sorry.
actual music too.
Okay, wait. Post your bingo card. I want to see the rest of it.
Yeah. Oh my God, no, it's literally so heinous. It just keeps
Yeah.
going.
Maybe don't say it out loud because I don't think the viewers like it, but I want to see the rest of it. Someone died.
Who left?
Am I good?
I think
Someone died.
JoJo
Who was it?
vanished. Oh, there she is.
Oh, it's JoJo.
Yep. JoJo died.
I did die. We're gonna ignore it.
Alright, we are slightly. I think Unwithered Truth died.
No,
Nope,
I'm
nope,
here.
he's
Oh.
there. Alright.
I'm just quiet.
You're welcome.
I'm just
We
trying not
we
to talk because there's so many people.
we snuck you in.
We need,
Hey, we got Rightos back in the chat.
we need at least 2 FNAF games to be released this year.
I think
I hope
we're
so.
on track for that already, aren't we?
Chat. 3 minutes. We start in 3 minutes. I meant 7 minutes. I can't count. 7?
Yeah, we have
Hold on. 7.
FNAF and Secret of the Mimic coming out.
Wait,
Alright.
we have what in Secrets of the Mimic?
Observe the
FNAF,
Wheel of Doom.
555.
The
Oh
Wheel of
yeah.
Oh, I forgot about FLAP.
I've been trying to.
Yeah, I feel like everyone kind of just forgot about FNAF.
I wish I could.
I think it's funny.
I like it.
It is certainly.
I liked
something.
it after patches.
Like it's we got a version of it that's still a demo in beta. It's like it's still a work in progress, so I don't begrudge it its glitchiness too much. It's a bit of a
Yeah,
disaster
I
right
support
now,
that.
but like it's not even
Hopefully
a
it'll
fully
be better.
released
Like
game.
yeah. Well,
I mean,
surely the full release
even
is better.
Even
We
the
got a-
small
we got a
patches they
proof of
did,
concept.
even the small changes they did, like were drastic improvements. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I have faith in it. I'm not that confident, but I think it's a good sign, at least there.
Yes, I agree.
Pretty much, yeah.
What did my little book of fathers say?
Also, yes, happy birthday, Gibby.
Happy birthday.
Thank you,
man.
thank you.
Happy birthday, Gibby.
Happy birthday again.
Happy birthday.
Alright, chat.
Yay.
We're just waiting on Rye Toast, and then we shall begin.
Yeah, right, Toast. I know you're in chat. I know you're thinking about 14 Fury really hard right now. Join.
Did you guys see the song that Rightoast wrote about 14
I
Theory?
did see that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. Wait,
Oh,
what?
I did.
In the DM group.
Yeah. My name
Wait,
is
I have to
14.
see
Dad,
this.
I want some ice cream. 14, that is my name. 14, I want another.
14.
Where is my dad?
My name is 14.
Ryan Toast has made a song about my theory. I've wanted in life.
Life is complete.
Ryan Toast, I love you, by the way.
I'm gonna use the bathroom before we get officially
Honestly,
That
started.
sounds
I'll
like
be
a
right
great
back.
idea.
I'm currently reclining. Raito says to start
Alright,
without
said-
him.
Start
so
with
no pressure.
Alright.
Join whenever you can.
Oh, good.
Also,
we still got 5
Gibby,
minutes.
thank you for having me on like your channel, like talking about it.
Yeah, of course. Like whenever I see any of these videos that I watch and they tickle my brain and I'm like, this changes how I see the series. I'm like, I gotta talk about this. And so the weekly show I have where I just go over like community stuff, I'm like, I gotta talk about this. I gotta talk about this in 14 theory. And then your guys' lefty theory from the other week are just incredible.
What's 14
you.
You know,
theory?
the
I think
smart-
I missed something. Wait, I thought it was. Wait, is it
We
a
will
joke?
talk about it
Jojo,
soon.
fake
Uh,
friend.
yes,
no.
It's real.
How dare you?
Biggest
Fake friend.
Thing, and I love the lefty thing. I actually, it's very fascinating. You low-key have me convinced. 14. I thought we were. I'm so confused.
It's not a joke.
No, it's real.
It's not a phase, Mom. It's 14 theory.
How do I feel
On the
about
phase,
current
Mom, I'm
FNaF? I
Dude,
like it.
dude, Loki, Raven,
Should we-
I can't
Should we
believe.
just explain it because there's?
I mean, people. Should we explain? All right. Should we sacrifice his theory
I think
section?
so. Yeah.
All right, whatever. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Well, no,
mean,
because
should
we
we
can, no, because you
save
can
it,
go into
or-
more detail. Just
That's true.
general.
Give the. I can't believe no one noticed in 7 years though.
I
can't-
know.
In 7
No one knows.
There's so much stuff that just persists forever, I swear.
Was there just took 5 idiots staring at lockers to notice?
That is how so much FNAF lore works.
Go ahead, Raven.
Somewhere.
You can blow ID's mind. Go for it. I'll pull it up on stream. Talk about it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Hold on. Let me know when you pull it up on stream, and I'll start explaining it.
I'm back.
All right.
Welcome
Oh,
back.
we're already at 14 theory explanations. Okay.
All right. Go for it. Yeah. You can start. Oh, I got to add. Oh no, this guy just has a super
really?
sick
Oh,
logo.
are we
We're about to
changing the
find out
layout?
what for.
All right. Go ahead. Explain it.
14
What
theories.
is this logo? What is this logo? What is this guy doing?
All right, you're good.
No, I'm not good. What? This guy put a watermark
Okay,
on FNAF.
so-
what the fuck?
Stuff like that. That is why I make so much of my own B-roll.
Show is
now.
crazy.
That was like half the screen.
Go. Let's go. I think O's
And there's the like free editing software watermark in the corner as well.
Watermark.
I think Hyperdroid has all these on his channel somewhere.
Oh, here we
His
go.
second
Ozone.
channel with
Ozone
all
has
this
it. Ozone has it. Here we go.
I know.
I need to
O's
get
on
all
that.
the Ultimate Custom Night
Yeah.
and stuff on my B-roll archive.
Oh, good.
Okay. It should be here somewhere. Nice. All right, go for it. You can start explaining. You can start explaining. Hello, Raven.
So, are
Rise
we
says
14
starting
theorying
with
right now?
Iowa. We
Am
might
I-
be starting without Rad, by the way.
Okay. Am I leaving? Am I
Yeah.
like missing? By the way.
Okay, we good to go.
Am I good?
Missing where?
I think you're good.
Okay. My fucking
Am I good to start explaining?
computer's lagging. Okay, you should be good to start explaining. Yeah.
Oh.
Go ahead. Yep. Go ahead.
Okay, so 14 theory. Get ready for math. So, Unwithered, you're gonna have to help me with some of the math bits.
Okay.
So
Welcome.
we'll
14.
start with the 7s. We'll make our way to the 14th. So, with the intermissions, it's 700 for each intermission. There was another 7 that you noticed, Unwithered. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, so you get 700 points for each of the cutscenes in Ultimate Custom
Yep.
Night. There are 14 Custom Night cutscenes,
Yep.
7 Toy Chica ones, 6 Freddy,
7 Toy Chica
the
ones.
Pair of Vengeance ones.
Yeah. So,
and then the Golden Freddy one is the 14th.
so when we were on stream,
it also
we were staring at the lockers for probably a solid 20 to 30 minutes, like the idiots that we are.
It was like 40.
And probably 40. And as we were
It was-
staring at
it
these
was
lockers, I decided to go, hey guys, look at the 14th locker. The 14 is slanted, and this did absolutely nothing for the longest time. So we got bored and looked at the offices. And T-Dread was like, hey guys, you want to get angry? And we were scared for a little bit. He showed us the FNAF 4 office, and there was one singular white star on there.
Out of 14.
We decided, me and Crash decided, well, let's count all the stars. And there's 14 stars, and there's one special one. And then as everyone's freaking out about it, I go dead silent, and I'm just like pulling up the UCN roster and counting 14 to the roster. And the 14th one is Golden Freddy. So I'm like, ooh, hey guys, look at this. T-Dread stream then cuts out. We come
Classic.
Everyone does.
And then we come back, and we kind of talk about for a little bit, and then I go completely silent again. I look at the roster again. I'm like, wait, look who's right next to Golden Freddy on the 15th slot. It's Burntrap, who is William Afton, and Toy Chica represents William Afton. So you have Golden Freddy at 14, and you have Toy Chica blocking the 15th locker because that's Burntrap, and you have all these other instances of like Golden Freddy's cutscene is the 14th cutscene. You like have all these other things, and then like the further lockers, and there's so much stuff that I haven't even done a video on yet, and. Yeah,
14 is
14.
slanted.
Golden Freddy
Golden
would be-
Freddy's slanted.
If you, this
Is that?
This is something I was going to talk about
Slanted.
in my hypothetical 14 theory video.
No way.
I was going to mention that if you counted
No
the
way.
Bear of Vengeance stuff, Golden Freddy would be the 7th Bear of Vengeance cutscene. Wouldn't it?
It's also the 14th
Oh
overall.
yeah, and the one where
You're 6th.
Oh.
Yo, it's
oh. Yo, wait. That's such a
yeah.
good point.
Theoretically, it would be the 7th one. Yes.
yeah,
Which is
Yo, yeah.
very funny in its own right.
The 7th Bear
That's
of Vengeance
cool.
is Golden Freddy. Oh.
I don't know if
That's
it means
cool.
anything like crazy or anything, but it's a neat idea to point out.
Yeah, it's funny that
That's
like
interesting.
they made the 14 deliberately slanted on this locker, and all the other ones are not. And you go to the roster,
Yeah,
and
and
Golden
it's
Freddy's head
noticeably
is
so as well.
slanted, same direction toward
there's, like,
William
other
Afton, who's in
14s
the
that we've
15th
noticed
character.
throughout.
Yeah,
The weird
there's
one
loads
to
of
me
different
that
ones.
pointed out that was really interesting was that Golden Freddy wasn't in the 14th slot in the
Yeah,
teaser Civil
yep.
War Custom
They moved him.
Yeah.
Build.
They moved Golden Freddy. To
Yeah,
the
I was
14th
looking at
slot on
that.
purpose.
Yeah, I was looking at those teasers because I was like, oh, we could probably learn more about the placement of them. And while they are divided into games, the placement of particular animatronics doesn't make sense in terms of like how other ones are ordered. So like they've got like Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy. That's the kind of regular order you expect. They follow the same pattern with the toys. They kind of go like most important to least important, and then you go like withered Chica, withered Bonnie, then the puppet, and then Golden Freddy. And it's like, wait, why do you have the puppet between Withered Golden Freddy and the other Withereds? And it would just make more logical sense to do them like group by group. And that's kind of how it was being done in development. And then at one point there was a switch intentionally to put the two Golden Freddy and Burntrap beside one another in the roster.
The one you shouldn't have killed is a 7-word phrase.
Yo.
It's not even
Someone
true.
said it's like 28 letters.
When he made this game, I want
The
to have it.
one you should
Yeah.
have killed.
The one you should not have killed.
6.
The one you should not have.
Yeah, but should not. But should not is the unofficial name.
It's true. It's true.
I'm not gonna nerd
Debunked.
emoji this. It's 7.
Debunked. All right, we're gonna spin.
Debunked.
We're gonna spin. First spin. Here we go.
All right.
Lock in. Lock in.
Wait,
By the way,
Spinny time.
wait,
Spinny
wait for
time.
me, T-Dread. So I
Okay.
can-
all right. So this is how this is gonna work. Everyone in chat.
Oh, jeez.
Narrow Raven, who's one of the guys on my head, he's doing like a cool podcast layout kind of thing. So if you're just on your phone or you don't want to look at the wheel this close up, you can go there or whatever. Because he has a cool layout for it. And this is kind of a joint effort between us. But for now, this is how the podcast is gonna work. I'm spinning this wheel that Chet helped me decide on with the topics. Then I'm gonna spin for a name. So we're gonna have a topic and a name, and that person is going to start us to avoid everything getting disorganized. And from there, we can chime in as we want, add on to their thoughts, contest them, any of that. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Why not?
All right, let's go for it.
Why is this wheel spinning for so long? It's making me
Oh,
upset.
it hasn't been clicked to finish.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I was
So you
letting
can
everybody know.
The true spin is not.
It's going now.
Okay, I thought it was just spinning forever.
We're not. We're gonna be behind in the chat. So
Oh,
you're,
no,
you're making
no,
sense. We're like,
no,
I can't wait for him to
Yeah,
click it.
we're gonna be behind.
Oh, thank God! Thank God! Thank God!
Yeah, that,
No
that
one
was like a
say anything
7-second
when it
delay
popped
for
up.
us.
Okay, I can
Yeah.
share it in Discord.
Wait,
Yeah,
wait,
you should
wait.
do that.
Oh, that might be a
You
good
can also
idea.
just-
No,
Yeah.
don't do that.
I'd
It's
be
gonna
better
kill
to
your
announce
PC.
it.
Remember
Yeah,
what
yeah,
happened
yeah.
last
Just
time?
announce it. Just
Oh,
announce
yeah,
it.
it's
Oh,
gonna kill
God.
your PC, and then I'm gonna
Okay,
steal your
good
viewers
idea.
again.
All right, we're doing the death order.
Okay, let's
The
go.
first topic is the order of the deaths, and the
Oh,
person
jeez.
the person starting us.
Dude, I want you, it was almost Midnight Motorist.
It was almost Midnight Motorist.
The person starting us is. Wait a second. Do I have everyone on here? I think so. All right.
Oh God, the delay's so big.
Oh, they said happy birthday, Gibby, and Gibby's starting us. Good. Hey, what did the deal? What's the deal?
Oh.
Oh, cool.
Oh man.
All right, Gibby, you're starting us on the death order.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with what at one point was not controversial, but I guess is kind of controversial now. I think that first actual death would have been Dave, the crying child, whatever we're gonna call him now. You know, clearly chomped in the head at fredbear's. But if we're talking murder order, I think it's Charlie first. I know that there's a lot of, counter evidence now, people talking about the Help Wanted 2 little puzzle stuff. But I think William goes and kills Charlie in revenge, the same kind of thing that happens in the Silver Eyes books. I think that that's really all the motivation he needs, is he wants to get some, revenge on Henry, who he doesn't like, and then his son dies, and he's all pissed off. And then I have my own little pet theory where I think that you can interpret the Toy Chica's high school years scenes as possibly being the death order. So if you watch those cutscenes in order, you see that she starts with Foxy's hook in her bag. I think Foxy's hook symbolizes Dave's death. And the first person she kills would symbolize Charlie, because she talks about, oh, I love this person and I'm going to go to them, and when I'm there, I'm going to get them. Which is just vague enough to maybe be I'm going to drive by Freddy's, and once I see her there, I'm just going to get her. The second Toy Chica high school cutscene is the one where she's definitely, luring Susie, and so I think that fits most people's idea that Susie was the first of, the MCI kids. And if you kind of go down that list, you can, toss all the boys in there or wherever you want, but the last one, the very violently, I'm going to hit him over the head and toss him in the trunk of the car, I think that one's probably Cassidy, who was probably, spring-locked and had a terrible, painful death. So yeah, I think that Dave, then Charlie, then the boys, and finally Cassidy. And I don't know where Elizabeth fits in there, probably after all them. That's all I got.
Okay.
Ooh. Anybody want to jump in?
I did see, was it...
I'll let someone else go first.
I can go. ID, you go first.
I'm gonna start. Sorry. I relatively agree, but I generally put Charlie before
Just the purple
Dave,
guy's son.
because I think she's the one speaking when the text color of the Fredbear plush changes. Because a lot of that lines up with stuff that's said at the end of FNaF World. That I go into more detail about it in other theories, but this dialogue in FNaF World is all about helping the spirits rest, and I don't think William is helping the spirits rest, so I don't think that William's the final speaker in the FNaF 4 Fredbear dialogue. But Charlie has her whole thing of setting up Happiest Day to help the spirits rest, and she protects the kids and stuff like that. So that's why I lean to Charlie dying before Dave. And on top of that, the reason I don't go with the Help Wanted 2 gravestone order, is partially because of Henry's speech in Pizzeria Simulator, because him saying that there's a wound first inflicted on him before spreading out to cause all of this, and then talking about he spent the entire speech talking about the murder victims and how he's going to set the spirits free. So I've heard people suggest that he was talking about the mimic or something, but I don't think that's what's going on here. And then in Help Wanted 2, there's also the code that you have to punch in to get the puppet memory plush is the 1983, which could be because it's a sister location room, but also it could be a way of saying, hey, we know we're setting up the order of the graves a bit weird, but she still died in 1983. Other than that, I go Charlie, and then I put probably sometime shortly after that, Dave, with William starting up his nightmare experiments around then. And then I think sister location, not sister location, but I think Elizabeth dies shortly after that, with Circus Baby and the Fun Times being William's first attempts at trying to get Remnant, because he's able to, because William's able to get permission to build the murder robots in the first place, and if he was already suspected, potentially, of being behind murders, I feel like there would have been more scrutiny, and he would be less involved with the company.
That's a good take.
And then I think after Elizabeth, we get the MCI, and so on.
My only criticism with the Elizabeth before the MCI is that the designers who are listening at the start sister location don't know what's going on with Elizabeth and Baby at all, really. They said
Yeah,
they're
but-
aware that there's weird features, but they don't understand what they are. They
Yeah,
specifically
my
asked
thought
what the
process
point
was more the fact that William is still making robots for Fazbear Entertainment at that point. When I feel like once the suspicion is on him, he wouldn't have been as involved as he seems to be then. He wouldn't have had as much trust because he was clearly able to brush off their suspicions and stuff there of like, hey, what's this for? And no one suspected him of the child murder potentiality. Like it was never proven, but we're pretty sure it's him. At least if the books are anything to go off of. It's like we're pretty sure it's him, but we're gonna let him get by with his weird stuff in the thing anyway. So I feel like that's why I put Elizabeth before the MCI. But I don't care either way as to where she ends up.
Yeah, I think
I agree with ID on the order.
Yay!
I think the catalyst because I've been following Occam's razor with a lot of this, and I think it's helped a lot. I think it's got to be Crying Child, Dave, whatever you want to call him first, because that's your catalyst, that's your freak accident that gives the bad rep. And then Charlie in Cold Blood afterwards. He notices the puppet's alive. That's why the fun times are early enough for Elizabeth to still die when Michael's a kid. And then after that doesn't work, when he realizes robots have failed and that he probably should get his hands, quote, dirty for his science, then he commits the MCI. And then that's where it kind of really sets the suspicion in, because otherwise, I feel like if the MCI had happened and then the fun times had been made with all those weird features, like, they would have gotten suspicious. They would have been like, this is some weird stuff, and didn't a murder just happen at our neighboring pizzeria like 3 blocks away? And he would have been like, I don't know what you're talking about. They'd be like, let me see
And you're one of the
let me see your hand.
suspects.
Yeah, it's like
One of the suspects.
There he is.
Well,
Hey, there's
hello.
Hey, Ryan.
What's going on?
Right, wow.
Frank,
Thanks for
Sammy
being here.
died first. If you think different, you're wrong.
Oh,
Fair enough.
oh Lord.
Hi, everybody.
Everyone say hello to Rye.
We could
The
all
gang's
just tell
all
them
here.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't even get me started on Rory, bro.
Rory was the
Um,
first. He has seen everything.
Mhm.
No, I
on-
was gonna
on-
say,
I don't think it
I was
matters.
gonna say, I agree with Jojo on the death order. I think that's a very solid lineup. You've got first BV. This is like a minor piece of evidence, but I like throwing this out there as well. In FNAF World, the like little caption for Fredbear on his loading screen is where it all started, or like where it all began. And I like to think that back then
I-
Scott would already have that plans.
I had taken that as Fredbear's was the beginning of the franchise, not that
That's fair. Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
that's fair. That's
Yeah,
fair.
that's
they
fair.
died first.
I feel like, regardless of whatever
I
the
think
time
going
is,
either way,
I was
though.
just trying to say Fredbear was first.
Yeah, but now we've got
I
Fall
agree.
Fest, so you really don't know. But yeah,
We'll find
Bite
out
Victim,
eventually,
then
maybe.
Charlie.
I mean, even if Fall
Mhm.
Fest predates Fredbear's, it's still not the first location / pizzeria.
Exactly,
It's just-
exactly.
Yeah, it's still called Fazbear Entertainment. So
Which,
I
by the way,
think
is
I
that
think
a
people
weird
have
thing that implies Fazbear is the last name of Fredbear? Is this a Mario
Fredbear,
Fredbear,
Fazbear. That's fire.
oh, that sounds awful. No, it's not.
Fredbear, Fazbear.
That's good. That's good. Okay. All right, I say one more
Well,
person
that's
can
why
go,
I think
and then I'm gonna
Fredbear
spin
has
the
the
wheel.
potential.
Well, real quick, on the order of the Death Note, do we think that Charlie died outside of Freddy's or outside of Fredbear's? Because if she died that
That's
early
an
in the
interesting
timeline, then it
expansion.
feels like Fredbear's, but in FNAF 2, it's very clearly that she dies outside of Freddy's, because you see actual Freddy there.
I'd say Freddy's.
Freddy's.
probably.
I think it's-
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
it
Fredbear's.
was-
Freddy's, because we know Henry made the Freddy crew. That is something that is labeled his creations, according to him in 6. He says the creatures, the machines of my creation, which would be when he's talking about Follow Me. So
Yeah.
we would connect the dots there, which would.
I'm a big. Oh, sorry.
No, you can continue. So I was just going to say, the Freddy's gang was his creations first and foremost, from what we know. So killing his daughter outside of his creation's location would have extra meaning and weight if we were to do it that way. But whatever, whatever works.
I mean, I agree with. I'm a big Midnight Motorist literal interpretation truther. So I've always liked the idea that if we suppose Junior's is a location that opened up in the closed Fredbear's, then the long drive to get there could be indicative of leaving from Freddy's for later that night. Which, again, is a very literal interpretation of this very silly minigame, but it's what I've been going off of.
I agree. I feel like we've gotten to the point with like Fazgoo and Sea Bonnies and stuff that we've forgotten about like Occam's razor. So I just look at this and I say we have a dude driving away really fast. That's weird. That's suspicious. We just murdered somebody. Who else would just simply drive that fast for no reason unless you're escaping a crime and have nothing to lose?
The novels also say that Freddy's is a drive away from Fredbear's, so I don't like using.
In the middle of nowhere.
Much, a bit weird.
But it's fair.
I was. That's
big.
Yeah, we dropped again.
I told 5 of them to leave.
You jinxed it.
Right, so why would you do that?
I thought it'd be funny.
William got to him.
Finally.
Right.
The 14 Fury got to your head.
I'm gonna spin the wheel.
Spin that wheel.
Spin the wheel. We don't see it spinning.
It's okay, you guys don't say. Oh, our first wild card! Our first wild card!
First wild card.
Alright.
Oh dear.
Is it all... Look, if it's a wheel, isn't every category a wild card?
Double.
Oh yeah, wait, we haven't explained what's happening to Rye yet.
Wild card squared. He doesn't get an explanation. Go! No.
Oh.
Oh wait. Oh, it's gonna be Squawks. Hey, there it is.
Oh.
Alright, so Squawks, you have 2 options. You can tell us about a theory that's kind of crazy that you believe, or I'll pick one that I thought was really interesting from your channel, and we could talk about that.
Dealer's choice.
Alright, I really liked the idea of Rockstar MCI.
You had to pick Rockstar?
Let's go.
Okay.
This is an interesting one.
This is one of those... especially now that we have Security Breach with hindsight, knowing that not all developers were completely keyed on the lore. This was entirely built on the unused statements from... there's a little bit more, but yeah, it was AR mostly. Like, there's a few things, like Henry, his monologue about those carried by your arms, and it shows only the 4 missing kids. And that made me think of, like, oh, Lefty and then the 4 other rock stars would be those kids, and that was, like, the connection. That's kind of where it ended. Like, there was a few other ideas.
I will say,
was the replacement.
Rockstar MCI was a theory that, while I don't agree with, I loved. I just loved the way it fit together.
Yeah, I like
the fast fact was something about how the original animatronics were used for the rock stars, right?
Yeah, it was specifically
Rockstar Bonnie.
Bonnie was made from the remains of the original Bonnie. It was paraphrasing, but yeah. And I think the theory I was going with, or the implication, was that Henry tried to preserve the kids to the best of his ability with the rock stars. And get them all in one place. Where it kind of fell apart is you didn't need to get the rock stars for the true ending. And yeah, he could have them in a back room or something, but the narrative dissonance there is huge. For you have to collect the 4 antagonists, but you don't have to do anything for the rock stars. So it's like, what?
So what I think is interesting about that is even at the start of the game, there's artwork of the rock stars in your office. Yeah. Like, even before you have the opportunity to get them. So I don't know if that's trying to hint that, like, that is the canon route. Or maybe that for some reason the public would have been aware of those characters before the game starts. Like, I don't know what what order he would have put those in. But they are there.
I think he just wanted to design one office and didn't put much thought into what would be in there.
Well, there's evidence to say that the Rockstars could be way older than we think, because Carney is based on Rockstar Freddy in Help Wanted 2. And we also
even have the same endoskeleton as well, like the exact same endoskeleton.
Carney weirds me out. Like, honestly, it just
Carney is weird.
Like, here's my thing. So we know with Security Breach that not all the devs knew the full story, but Help Wanted felt really consistent. So do we trust that they had Help Wanted? It did really good. Security Breach, COVID, and poor communication was a developing flop, and then Help Wanted 2 is back to being 100% trustworthy.
I think so.
I think so.
I think after the reception of Security Breach, I think they definitely locked in really hard.
Yes, Scott absolutely locked in.
Or not outright said, he implied he gave them the notes for moving forward, because he said he was trying to put them back on track with Ruin and then help Wanna-Do's after Ruin. And I would find it really weird if after Security Breach and he gave them the notes for Ruin, he wasn't trusting them for the next game. That would be really bizarre.
Yeah, like he mentioned that the issue was that Steel Wool tried to make their own story out of it, and then because they didn't know what the story was supposed to be. So I do think they know what the story is supposed to be now, or at least certain people in there do.
I think they know now.
That doesn't necessarily mean they know everything about all the lore ever, but they at least would know what Scott's vision is for this stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, Withered Circle, you're talking about Happiest Day.
Oh, goody.
Oh, me? Well, this is very convenient because I'm writing a Happiest Day script, so I have thoughts.
Yippee!
Okay. Do I just go in general?
Yeah,
go ahead.
just go off. Tell us what you think.
Okay. Okay, so Happiest Day are the minigames from FNAF 3, where you can get a good ending by getting all of them. Basically, you just play one each night. I think we all know that.
Yeah.
And the main idea sort of for Happiest Day that a lot of people have is that you're gathering Crying Child's memories, and that Happiest Day is Crying Child's like birthday party from Fredbear's like put together. I disagree. I think that the receiver of like the Golden Freddy mask in Happiest Day is Cassidy.
Okay.
I'm gonna explain why. Just generally, who here thinks it's Bite Victim? Just out of curiosity.
I do.
I do.
I do.
I
I have an interesting take on it.
But I could also
Me
see
one
it being
FNAF
both.
world.
I could see it being Cassidy, but personally, I lean.
Okay.
I think it's Cassidy.
I can be convinced.
Look, my thoughts are fluid. I'm not gonna be stuck with this idea forever. It's very likely that next week I'll be Bite Victim again.
That's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, that is FNAF. So
Always.
Yeah, it's good to stay flexible. Why do I believe Cassidy? Aside from the fact that FNAF 3 was before FNAF 4, and FNAF 4 was where we were introduced to the Crying Child, that's not really like evidence because Scott could have had it planned out. But
Yeah, I do think that, like, to start at least, it was probably just the 5th kid that William killed.
Yeah. To start, it was the 5th kid, and I still think that's the case. This also stems from a personal belief that Cassidy isn't the vengeful spirit. So Andrew being the vengeful spirit, in my kind of understanding of the lore, is why Cassidy passing on here makes sense.
Wouldn't be an issue.
Why?
that's fair.
It wouldn't really. See, here's the thing. Because if Cassidy's the vengeful spirit, she can't pass on in Happiest Day, or else that contradicts UCN. But if it's Andrew who's the vengeful spirit, Cassidy's free to pass on in Happiest Day. So there's no contradiction that would normally arise if Cassidy's the vengeful spirit.
I can see why this would lead to us having different stances on this matter.
For a different perspective.
My big
Go ahead,
question is, what's it called? When it comes to that, what do you think Golden Freddy represents in UCN, if not Cassidy? Because Golden Freddy's very clearly like important there. So, if
I have to be honest with you, I have no idea. I have not the slightest.
Fair enough.
I did have an idea.
That is also a lot of FNAF.
Yeah, I think that's a fair.
Sire Squawks, you can go.
So
Sure, go.
in that Golden Freddy cutscene, if you turn up the audio, you can barely hear the fire crackle from FNAF 6. And obviously, it's not exactly a normal moving on scene if it's intended to be Cassidy moving on or whatever it's supposed to be there. And we have a Golden Freddy in Into the Pit for some reason in the fetch minigame in Into the Pit's game.
That's throws me off so hard.
In one of my latest Golden Freddy videos, I mentions like, is the idea that Cassidy chose to stay behind to see what was going on with Andrew, or something like that, if that was the route we were going for the story. Because, I even said in the video, like, hey, if we're doing Vengeful Spirit Golden Freddy, back to plan A, but if we are doing Andrew, what would that imply?
I think
because one of my issues with that fetch minigame was the fact that like Golden Freddy is possessed while Fetch is actively killing people. So it's like, well, Andrew probably can't be in both at the same time. I mean, there's precedent that he could, but
how would he?
Well, I mean,
if he's in Fetch, then we're post William exploding in room 1280. So it'd be like, why is he still in there?
And why would they have?
It's only possible.
True.
I've been messing around with this idea in my head. It's only possible if Golden Freddy was somehow in the warehouse that William Afton exploded in, but that's such a ridiculous idea, and I don't know how Golden Freddy would get to that point, so I'm not like gambling on it.
Even that would require Cassidy still being around
Mm,
to get there.
And
Yeah.
It's a new Golden
for
Freddy,
it not
in-
to
in
be.
that case.
I guess.
why did they make another one?
Speaking of Happiest Day and Fazbear Freight's connections, Return to the Pit has a Happiest Day.
Oh
adjacent
yeah, that's
thing
right.
in it,
That's
doesn't
right.
it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And who
curly
happens
hair
to be the
Naro.
fifth kid in that?
Which
Curly-
I have
shakes me and
such a-
horrifies me to my core.
That's like it's like they're merging them. I
hard
hate
take
it.
on it.
Sorry, I zoned out. What are we talking about now?
Return to the Pit. Has
I haven't
Return to the
been able
Pit
get my
has-
hands on it yet because I've been away from home for the past couple weeks.
I have
it has
But
a
Happiest Day has something relative to it.
Yeah.
Alright.
Kinda.
I
Insane.
have
No
seen
spoilers,
people
it's a
gloating
weird
about
book.
it on Twitter. So
Yeah,
I'm kind of fascinated as to whatever the book is.
It's an insane book, and I love it.
Amazing.
It's such a fun book. I read the whole thing. It's so much fun.
It's hilarious, dude. It's the
Yeah, I
funniest
heard it was-
one.
I watched
think
the
it's the funniest book.
TLDR of the entire thing, and now I really want to get my hands on it because it sounds.
I will say, like,
really
it's a
I
good.
saw
good
someone
book.
say something about Oswald getting repeatedly run over with a car. But
Yeah, that's true.
That happens in like 80 endings.
The real vengeance
Basically,
spirit is-
anytime you try to run
ending.
away, the Yellow Rabbit's driving Oswald's dad's car and locking in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it like happens
I-
like 3 or 4 times.
I only realized when
Yeah, it
watching
happens way more.
Gibby your read through of it because I read the book, but I read it real fast. But when I watched your read through, I was like, man, this is a lot of endings, you know? Because most of the time I go, oh, it's the same thing. Oh, it's the same thing, and I'd skip back. But I
Yeah.
didn't realize how many endings he gets hit with a car.
I will say
But
one more thing.
with the
One more thing on the
Oh,
note of
that's what I'm
Happiest
gonna
Day.
like.
If you do say that Bite Victim is the receiver, there's a lot of you get a lot of questions like why isn't Cassidy there? Like why wouldn't Cassidy also be in the line of kids? And I guess if they were the vengeful spirit, they just wouldn't be in Happiest Day because they don't want to move on.
yeah, that's my
Yeah.
thought process.
Yeah,
They're too angry at William to be willing to rest, so they're not there.
I imagine that if Happiest Day, I think, because originally I think it was just Scott had this idea to have the fifth kid be somehow important with his birthday, whatever. And then FNAF 4, he was like, oh, I'll make them this kid. And then, you know, oh, the 5 is actually the 4 and Charlie, you know, or something like that. And then people sort of had a strange reaction to FNAF 4. So I think then he maybe combined the two, and it's Cassidy is receiving the cake, but it's guided by Bite Victim's memories. Because if we think about it, even if Bite Victim's the receiver, everyone gets Happiest Day. So they all have to in some way be granted it by Bite Victim's memories. So Cassidy could also be there and just be the final one because they have a more direct connection to Bite
And
Victim.
I do have a thought on that as well. That could be. Well, one thing I've noticed when looking at stuff is like in the survival logbook, there's that picture of the puppet giving a little girl with black hair cake. And then in Security Breach, there's a little girl with black hair in a hospital bed with the FNAF 4 pattern bread spread. And the way I interpret that is sort of because Cassidy and the Crying Child are sort of sharing the same body, there's a lot of overlap between them, like spiritually. So I think it could be a case where, like, yes, we see only one Golden Freddy kid there, but that Golden Freddy kid could represent both of them.
Technically, yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
And I think as well.
Cassidy is the only one who can fix the Bite Victim, so they need to be fixed. So the Bite Victim needs to help them fix themselves, so they can fix
Yeah.
them. That would be a weird day
So it's
Yeah.
like it's just save them Inception.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah, everything is just
You know
a,
what?
a Happiest Day and a
This
Happiest Day.
moment discussing this has made me realize how badly this series has jumped the shark.
It's pretty bad now.
Hey,
Yeah.
I like it.
It has not.
We
jumped-
love
I will
it,
have
but
you know,
it's a bit
it
of a
has
mess.
not jumped the shark. It's been this weirdly written since the beginning. Thank you very much.
Speaking of bad,
Never been on
That
the
is true.
shark.
You know, I was
Cryo.
gonna say it's been the shark.
I saw.
Yeah.
The shark is the shark.
Exactly. It's Felix the shark.
really
Thank you
true.
very much.
What
Also
you
it's
were
on
just
canon.
describing
It's
with like
all
the
on canon.
multiple people in one body, that's basically like how Kingdom Hearts lore works. And so saying
Oh,
that
no.
Jump the Shark, I'm like, oh my
Oh, no.
god, it's
I
the
hope
same
Cassidy is the
story.
Bite Victim's heartless.
Scott better not be
Exactly.
taking inspiration from there.
Yeah.
Right, Cryo, Shadow
I feel like
Animatronics.
we already
I
on
also
the next
don't
one.
think. I also don't necessarily think that like Happiest Day necessarily happens in FNAF 3. Like I think there's a chance that Molten Freddy is the result of a failed Happiest Day, because Molten Freddy has the same eye lit up in his mask as the FNAF 3 heads do at the end of the minigame.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's like, if the spirits are continuing through, it's kind of this idea that Happiest Day is the bad ending of FNAF, or sorry, Happiest Day is the good ending, and Molten Freddy is the bad ending, and that's the one that actually happens. If the story ends at 3, yeah. So like, if it didn't happen, or maybe Bite Victim was just released or something, or that the logbook seems to be like a rejigging of Happiest Day as guided by Cassidy rather than the puppet. So you could maybe say that like in the version of events that Molten Freddy has created, Cassidy does Happiest Day for the Bite Victim, but the others are still kept in Molten Freddy.
Well, actually, I want you to think about one more thing from FFPS, because I always love hearing that Molten Freddy line about how the mask has the one eye lit and it matches the FNAF 3 bed ending heads. I want you to think about, if you add Molten Freddy to Lefty, they both have one eye. They both have the opposite eye.
Lefty,
you combine those
lefty,
two,
lefty.
you get the complete Happiest Day.
TCI.
You add the puppet to the 5 and Molten Freddy, you get the complete Happiest Day.
That's
I can
cool.
say, I've been working off the assumption that Happiest Day kind of happens at the culmination of FNAF World during the FNAF 6 fire, which is why Cassidy isn't there, because they're busy doing UCN.
That could be a good reason for Scott to think about the one you should not have killed, and that like if Golden Freddy is the one you should not have killed, that's like the germ of the idea. Is Scott goes, okay, now I've got 2 Golden Freddy kids. One of them was let go. What do I do with the other one? Oh, I'll make them like vengeful, so they hang on. Like it could work from the writing point of view as well. That's where the idea comes from. Is I've got a kid left over. What do I do with them?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Honestly,
That sounds uncannily realistic.
we should. I vote we, for legal reasons, this is a joke. I vote we just waterboard the information out of Scott and be like, just give us the information, proof not safe from UCN of what you were trying to do here, and nobody gets hurt. Like,
Why do you think I was late today? I had to book a ticket to
Scott's house. All right, I'm gonna have to change the topic now.
All we had to do was
we have not Happiest Day for a while.
Everyone.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna have Cryonide start us with the shadow animatronics.
Oh, here we go.
Enjoy.
An easy,
this is gonna be good.
uncontroversial topic for you.
Oh,
So
yes.
here's the thing. I think if I could ask Scott one question, I would definitely ask him about the shadow animatronics, because this is the least sensical thing in this entire franchise to me. This is the one thing I can't even start to wrap my head around. Because on one hand, they have this like Shadow Bonnie, or whatever it's officially called, is like connected to dark, it's connected to like dark remnant and AR when that was still a thing, but we don't know how real that is because I don't know how hands-on Scott was with that game.
Probably not.
And then you have Shadow Freddy like seemingly working for William in Follow Me.
Mm-hmm.
Like
They
it's
seem
seemingly
connected.
luring the animatronics to it, so it's like they're doing 2 separate things.
I am
in
your
what we've
wickedness.
seen.
So
In the very limited amount of time that we've seen these shadow animatronics, it feels like they do very different things from each other. Because I also don't think Shadow Freddy does anything in FNAF 2. Am I wrong about that?
No, he just sits there.
I'm pretty sure Shadow Bonnie crashes the game,
Yeah.
but Shadow
Shadow
Freddy's
Bonnie
kind of
crashes.
chilling there.
Yeah.
I sat for 30 seconds staring at Shadow Freddy, so I can confirm that
I think he's supposed
Fox
to.
are much more dangerous.
Someone did find in the code that he's supposed to blink away after you look at him, but it's a broken line of code, so it's supposed to be that you look at him and then. But
sort of like Golden Freddy's fade in the
Yeah, I was
office.
gonna say blinking away ties them more to Golden Freddy, which is
because he is his same model anyways.
Yeah, he is the same model.
Which I think is intentional.
I have I have thoughts on the fact that the shadows, as we call them as a community, we call them the shadow animatronics. But first of all, Shadow Bonnie has never actually been given that name officially by anyone but the community, and also they are very visually distinct from one another. Shadow Freddy is purple and appears as like a whole animatronic, and then you have RF blah, 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 is a thank you.
Why
do you
is
someone knows names than me?
I did a video on Shadow Animatronics a couple months ago.
Because
So
I do
have
think
an
taking this
explanation that
seriously.
I'm sitting on,
You
and
do
I have
not.
to say it so
You do
many
not
times.
realize
Because she's the best of us.
Yeah,
The rest of you are
I've
posers.
been made
Like,
fun of for months for
Yeah.
knowing it by heart. You guys keep making
It's
fun of me
always-
for saying it by heart every single time.
it's always a Vanta black, like kind of looks like Toy Bonnie, but has different effects, like on its its teeth are different and stuff. And I think the fact that they act completely differently, and we have like differences in naming and visuals, I think that Shadow Freddy is a different kind of entity to ID. Could you?
RWQ.
I would
Oh, okay.
agree.
do the full one.
I've had
Um,
different thoughts on this in the past, and the more I think about it, the more I'm wondering if RWQ is kind of what the Yellow Rabbit, like that idea was refined in the Yellow Rabbit for Into the Pit. And not saying they're the same character, but that same idea of just like in FNAF 2, he was like, oh, what if just like the bad feelings manifested? And then like 3 years later, he was like, wait, what if we doubled down on that?
Yeah, that could definitely work, because I think
Yeah, I
whether
do
it's
think
from the
that-
MCI or the DCI, it could work.
Gibby, how about you? What do you think?
Do we
My
think that
general. Okay.
do we think his model being Toy Bonnie matters, or is that just a thing that Scott did because it was
I
readily
don't think it
available?
matters.
Matter of
Tricky.
If I had to apply a meaning to it, I would say that it's because whatever made it manifest happened at the FNAF 2 location.
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
have
it's
thoughts on that.
specifically tied to Toy Bonnie himself. I just think that would tell you the time period that the thing that manifested it happened.
Maybe
Would
makes
you
sense.
say that Shadow Freddy manifested somewhere else then?
Yes.
I think he's
Yeah.
directly related to
Okay.
Golden Freddy.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So
about
somewhere
where
else.
Shadow Freddy comes from.
In some way, shape, or form, are somehow like connected to like Scott. I feel like Scott had some vague, because we know he likes sci-fi, so I feel like he would have had some weird explanation for that back even in FNAF 2, of it being almost like like it could have been like an early version of Agony that we're seeing, and then
Yeah.
now in hindsight it's like a manifest of it. But it could have just they could have just been Scott's like early kind of, because when you look at this stuff, I feel like you really just have to take it with so many grains of salt. Like, they were created during FNAF 2, so right after FNAF 1 blew up. So you have to, I just
Well, I don't
about
think
it
that
from
makes
that
anything in
perspective.
FNAF 2 less valuable information-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about it
Yeah.
Because
from
it's
the
part of like the
perspective-
foundation of the series.
Yes. So it's figuring out why was this made, when it was made, and what did it add to this part of the series to figure
And
out
how
when
might it have
would-
developed?
Yes,
So-
because I'm a firm believer in like making sure that I like look at when these games
Yeah, the
came out,
context.
because if we were to do it now, I would immediately say that's an Agony creature, but Agony didn't exist until like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Well, we didn't know what it was called, but that doesn't necessarily mean it
Could be a
didn't
concept,
exist,
yeah.
kind of thing.
That
Yeah.
is
Or-
true.
Like, we didn't know exactly what Remnant was called, but technically speaking, even if it didn't have a name or it wasn't fully conceptualized, that doesn't mean that Remnant wasn't involved in the early games, you know?
Yes.
Or,
Yeah.
or as Rai suggested, that the kind of the chicken came before the egg, in the sense that like the Agony creature that was Shadow Bonnie became the inspiration for the idea of Agony, as we call it now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like
That's
one
what
came
I-
before the other.
It's very
Mhm.
much so it feels like the egg came before the chicken, or vice
Yeah.
versa, whatever it is.
Underscore.
One thing
So,
that I think is really interesting with the Shadow animatronics is how involved they are with Happiest Day.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
many of the Happiest
Yeah.
Day minigames
That's true as well.
have Shadow animatronics. There's the Shadow Puppet, the Shadow Cupcakes, Shadow something or other. I don't know. There's other stuff in there. And
RWQ.
like and and the thing is, like, RWQ is in there too, and even if he's not a Shadow animatronic in the sense of like being named a Shadow animatronic, he is helping out there, so I mentally classify him as like similar, even if not identical.
I think that
And-
might even
and
be
I,
like
I think
a
that's something really interesting to note, and that I feel has been ignored a lot, is how the Shadow animatronics are connected to the Happiest Day stuff.
It is on the
One
Shadow
thing
Bonnie.
does.
in the video I did a few months ago was I suggested that the Shadow animatronics being born from the agony of I put the DCI as being their source for most of them.
I think
Not RWQ or Shadow Freddy.
I
I
think that
suggested that
that
okay,
is-
maybe this gives more relevance to the FNAF 2 victims who don't really do anything. They're just kind of there. Their agony potentially made the
DCI
effort to help the MCI victims move on in Happiest State, but then stuff didn't work out due to I don't know, Shatter Victim or something.
You know, you making that connection has me
cool.
thinking that is Into the Pit as a story not just the FNAF 3 minigames? The idea of going into an agony-induced area, if we were to make Into the Pit in FNAF 3, would it not be Oswald going into a ball pit and then we play this minigame where there's this Shadow Freddy and we have to go find a child hidden somewhere? Repeat, repeat, repeat.
Hear me out. Into the Pit.
That's
is
100%.
In my latest video, Tulpa Theory, I mentioned the idea that RWQ always appears on the side of the missing kids. In FNAF 2, he's attacking you when everyone else does. In FNAF AR, he's protecting Remnant, which is people's souls infused with stuff. And then he's helping out at Happiest Day. And the minigame in FNAF 2 that we were shown that doesn't pay off into anything other than showing that kids died in the second location is called Save Them. And I wondered if Shadow Bonnie RWQ was the manifestation of that desire to save them. So he's just that idea given form.
To back you up on that, I was just gonna say, to back you up on that, the version of RWQ in FNAF World only has 3 moves, and they're all support moves.
Healing.
Haunting, and Mimic Ball.
Yeah.
Insta-kill moves. Yeah, I want to say, because let me go real quick. I underscore sounded pretty enthusiastic when I mentioned Golden Freddy looking like Shadow Freddy. What was that about?
Huh? Oh, I mean, they are the same model ultimately.
You just agreed. I thought there was something deeper there.
I have something to say.
You same here. I got something to say.
All right, every man for himself. Go.
I could come up with something for that.
One at a time.
Everyone shout at the same time. 3, 2, 1, go.
Shadow Freddy is in the Happiest.
Toy Chica is William Afton.
With everything that you guys are saying.
Ask who's the best story.
Okay.
Drew.
So, okay, I'll lead off. I'll lead off. On the topic of Shadow Freddy and RWQ taking opposite sides, and just the Shadow animatronics in general. To my knowledge, Shadow Freddy is the only animatronic that does of the shadows that isn't in any of the Happiest Day minigames. Because you see all the rest of them, but Shadow Freddy is the only one that never pops up. Which
technically, there's also XOR and Shadow Mangle in Help Wanted.
Yeah, which
but
makes me wonder something. Do we think that Nightmare being referred to as Shadow Freddy in the files means anything?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a whole
They
thing
are
here.
basically
I have a
one
whole
and the
thing.
same.
I think it's the same thing.
Because Nightmare does have this line about "I am your wickedness made of flesh."
Yeah,
so
I
maybe that literally
thing
is what
on
Shadow
that.
Freddy is. Though.
Well, he definitely does have connections to William. It's just figuring out where those come from. Because he's purple. He's wicked. He's evil, like we've been describing. But where does that connection?
I have an idea as to where it might
Trevor.
come from, and I think basically because I was thinking about the nightmare experiments recently, and we were talking about it, and how necessarily what was that accomplishing? What was the idea? Why was it included in the story at all? Why not just keep it be dreams? All this kind of stuff. And I think part of the idea is that because Nightmare or Shadow Freddy shows up on the final night, if you think about the game from a story night by night, minus all the mini games, we're seeing a fear intensify until the point where it manifests this evil creature, which is the worst of all of the other creatures. And what if the Shadow Freddy, and the reason he's different than all the rest of them, is he's created from the fear, the genuine torment that either it's the bite victim or Michael, whoever went through the experiments, that's the result to a Shadow Freddy. And so when he says, "I am your wickedness made of flesh," it's because he's literally manifested from William's wicked actions in torturing these children into the experiments.
Important question. I think this is. I do have a question about Shadow Freddy real fast. Does Nightmare in Ultimate Custom Night, does he ever say, I don't remember all the lines right now. Does Nightmare specifically ever talk about I'm not an illusion anymore?
No.
That's not.
No.
That is no, that's specifically Nightmare
That's
Fredbear.
Fredbear.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nightmare Fredbear says,
Interesting. So he never was then. Nightmare.
I have it pulled up.
Hmm.
I'll post a screenshot. in
Thanks
the-
for gifting the
I have a-
membership.
I have a
Nightmare
follow-up
Fredbear,
thing on it.
if I'm not mistaken, says this time there is more than just an
That
illusion.
is
No, that's Fredbear. That's
Nightmare.
Fredbear.
Yes.
Fredbear.
Because
I
my
just-
question is,
yeah, I just posted
Yeah,
the
yeah.
I have a-
lines.
what if in
chat.
FNAF 4, Nightmare is not gas or an illusion disc? Nightmare is actually...
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
manifested by
Definitely a
this
dream
weird
thing.
experience.
He's what
But think about
Shadow
this.
Freddy looks like with the illusion.
Think about this.
Could be that too.
Michael is the dreamer in FNAF 4. Who do we, if we play as Michael in FNAF 2, in FNAF 1, and in FNAF 3, Shadow Freddy shows up in each of those locations.
Yes.
He's in the FNAF 3 office. He's in FNAF 1 and Follow Me, which is the most tenuous of the connections.
Well, Michael wouldn't have seen him.
And then
yeah.
he's in FNAF 2, obviously.
Yep.
But if he was, he wouldn't have seen him and Follow Me. But if we have this idea
was
that he is
present.
somehow attached, if he's created by Michael, you could even then have a Shadow Freddy Midnight Motorist Michael Runaway thing.
It's very
He's
much
got a
it's
direct
very much a case of what have you brought home?
Oh boy,
You know who else shows up in all those places? William Afton.
that is
Ooh.
true.
Yeah, very true.
William and for
Yeah.
a while-
Purple guy.
It's made flesh.
I'm personally of the mindset that even if Mike is the dreamer in FNAF 4, it's not his experiences that we're experiencing.
Yes.
Otherwise,
absolutely.
we wouldn't be hearing FNAF 1 phone guy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's probably him being haunted by his brother, and his brother's memories manifesting like that, because that's the thing that spirits can do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I do think it's possible that Shadow Freddy Nightmare is the actual Shadow Freddy Nightmare appearing in Mike's dreams.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in that case, then
Yeah, no, I completely agree with
I
that.
think could we not say if the nightmares are dreams, that it could be Michael post FNAF 1, so him having heard the call,
Yeah,
remember,
I do
like
think-
dreaming
There would
about
have
like
to
the
be.
nightmare experience. Like he could have been in chambers and had dreams about it, like later,
Yeah.
so that he can
Yes.
still have them when he's a kid, and then have
It's
dreams
possible.
about them later.
My only criticism of the bite victim having the dreams is the code is 1983. Why would you make a code of something? Or what is he making the code about if the bite victim
It's
has
not
died
the
in
bite
victim.
1983?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like his,
my
you have to
thought
already
is
know.
that I think that I think that I think the 1983 code is just like to some degree it's a nod to the fans of like, hey, this is connected to those events. But also
Mhm.
I do think that the nightmare experiments were, I think in the lead up to the crying child's death, part of the reason he was so scared of the animatronics was because William involved him in the fear experiments.
I agree.
And I think that combined with the bite, led to Shadow Freddy, and I think that the general order of events in my brain is like that spawned Shadow Freddy. Later down the line, Mike's in FNAF 1. Golden Freddy is there, which means Dave is there, and Dave is angry at his brother and starts haunting him and puts him through that.
I actually
I
agree
guess-
with that because you could argue that Crying Child could be somewhat vengeful, but vengeful towards Michael. Because,
Yeah.
like, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter if Michael feels bad, Michael still was the reason that Crying Child died. So,
Yeah.
And it seems in the week
stretch
before
the
that if
argument.
I mean,
that
he's an
is
idiot,
the crying
yeah.
child, in the week before, like if you listen to the one recording call thing of the bite of 83, and then phone guy gets bit at the end of that, if that was the crying child, that could definitely imply that he's not happy about the situation still, even if Mike apologized.
Just the purple guy's
Yeah.
son.
I think as well it depends on if you want to do like nightmare experiments before CC dies. It's kind of the same thing about like if Charlie dies before David, then you have this whole thing of what's William's motivation. If we just go, he's just
To
always
kill
been like
Charlie?
that. There is to kill Charlie or to set up fear experiments. Because if we
So
go like
my interpretation is William didn't need any more motive to kill Charlie than his jealousy of Henry. I don't
Absolutely.
think it was a revenge kill.
Yep.
I think like like in the Silver Eyes books, maybe Dave was a character and we never see him or Mike. But the only indication we get towards William's motives to take Charlie is that he was jealous of Henry. Even before any of the stuff. I think he was jealous of Henry, and as he was driving by Freddy's, it was a heat of the moment. He was having one of his jealousy fits. He kills Charlie. The tear streaks appear on the puppet, and that gets him interested in researching Remnant and Agony and stuff, and then he does the nightmare experiments as a way to try and figure that out. Then the crying child dies, and then he moves on to the fun times as a method to try and figure things out further once his nightmare experiments fall through.
We have been going off topic for a bit, so I'm going to segue. ID, it's still you on the wheel, so you're going to start us on Princess Quest.
Okay.
What is going on? What's going on there?
I think we play as, like, in Security Breach, I think we're playing as Cassidy. The Caught in a Loop title, to me, indicates, like, a previous character coming back and being stuck in a cycle. And then even if Scott told them to remove the name Cassidy from the files, I think that's more Scott not wanting to confirm the name Cassidy at that point, because there was still debate over who the Vengeful Spirit was.
And the merch thing,
even
the
without
kazoo.
the name,
Cassidy Kazoo, yeah.
Cassidy Kazoo. It seems like he just didn't want the name Cassidy confirmed like that. So I think it's Cassidy. And I think what it is I am personally of the belief that Glitchtrap is a combination of William Afton's Agony encoding mixed with the Mimic program. Due to some stuff in Help Wanted 2 and the manifesting as a rabbit. And I think that Cassidy is in Princess Quest trying to help get rid of what's left of William in her revenge quest. And she's been following him from place to place, and that's why, like, you get... Like, in the second Princess Quest game, there's Old Man Consequences, and he's like, oh yeah, you should rest, but then she doesn't. And then you go into Help Wanted, the Help Wanted themed Princess Quest 3. And I think that's supposed to be symbolic of... And then there's just the It's Me sign in Help Wanted. It could be someone else, but I think it could also be an indication of William's remnants are here, or part of him is. Or maybe she's just trying to, like, if you don't believe that William is at all involved with Glitchtrap, she's trying to get rid of his legacy. Or maybe she thinks it's William. But I think from there, tries to purge Glitchtrap. And I think what happened is, in order... This is once again connected to the William idea. I think in order to escape Ultimate Custom Night, he sort of shunted Cassidy into the Princess Quest arcades. And that's how we get him able to function as Burntrap instead of being trapped in the nightmare coma.
And we would agree that Princess Quest ending is canon, all of us, or?
Yes.
I think it's canon, but I don't think Gregory was the one who got it. I think Gregory got the Burntrap ending, and I think Cassie's dad got the Princess Quest 3 ending, because he's able to play Princess Quest 4, and you have to play them sequentially.
Do you think he'd also be like the insane guy in the notes
I
about
do
Security
not,
Breach?
but I don't begrudge people who do.
One minor comment is we did know the name Cassidy confirmed from Scott himself prior
Script.
to
In the
Security
Cassidy
Breach's release.
Script, yeah.
Yeah. So they'd
In the
already
Cassidy
been name
script,
dropped.
yeah, but not necessarily as the Vengeful Spirit.
Yeah, but
And I think that's what he was trying to avoid having confirmed.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
depends
don't
on who,
name
or
drop.
maybe the Steel Wool employees thought that it was Cassidy, but it was actually Andrew. Take your interpretations as you will. This is mine.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, because you mentioned something about like not wanting to confirm the name Cassidy itself, which
Yeah, I meant as
I
the
don't think
character
it
that
is.
was being
But yeah,
depicted.
the Vengeful Spirit thing I do agree with, if that was the case.
Yeah, because we also have like Old Man Consequences, like
Yeah.
named Old Man Consequences in the files,
Yeah, like
talking
Rose
to a
straight up
yellow
confirmed
girl.
that
That's true.
That's one of
Yeah,
the things
that's-
few things that is
Good to point
OMC
that
in the
Though,
file.
could we? I know this is not really necessarily like the fun answer, but like, is this potentially part of the Scott miscommunicating thing? Because could it be that Scott intended it to be Cassidy, or Security Breach got his notes and interpreted it as Cassidy? And because, you know, we have the kind of, he said one thing, they interpreted it as another. There's a possibility that the Cassidy thing is a result of that.
I think it's also possible that he told them it was Cassidy, and that's why the name was in the files. And then he was like, "Wait, no, you weren't supposed to tell them that."
Yeah.
Yeah,
This guy
right.
told you
Yeah.
doesn't mean to put it out. Yeah.
Yeah, or it could be like, the thing is, even if Scott didn't give a ton of direction, he still told them to put certain things in certain places. And I feel like the Princess Quest machines are such a vital part that he would have at least given some indication as to, because the fact that they like randomly put Chica in the background of that one level and included Old Man Consequences in that way, like, yeah, it could be them coming up with stuff, but I feel like it's just as likely that Scott is the one who told them to do that, and also that's what we have now. Whether or not it was the original plan, this is the game that we got, and I don't think, like, even if Scott's trying to move things onto a track that's more similar to what he originally envisioned, I don't think that negates any of Security Breach.
I almost
Does that make sense?
trust Security Breach like 0%, because to have a miscommunication as large as, hey, this character isn't supposed to move, to it's the final boss of the game is quite large. That is quite
That's fair. I just think that, like, even if that was not the original intention, that's still the final product we got.
Yeah, he probably driving it
and
there.
unless Scott says to completely ignore it, he just said it was getting it back on track, not that everything was retconned, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I feel like
agree.
it
I agree.
still matters, and it's still important. But the implications of some things and where this, like, what the story may have been implied to be in Security Breach may not be what the direction is going now.
Yeah, in the same way that, like, Follow Me wasn't anything to do with anything at the time, but it might have connections now to, like, Molten MCI. Like, these things might start as one thing, but they become something else. So I think the later the evidence is with Princess Quest, the more reliably we can point at it and say, well, that still makes
and that's
sense.
another
Old
thing
Man
too. They
Consequences-
continue Princess Quest stuff in Help Wanted too, so I'm inclined to believe that Scott had a hand in the original Princess Quest stuff, especially since it made an appearance in Help Wanted itself. In the mobile
and like Old Man Consequences is at the end and like provides the Bonnie mask and Glitchtrap as well. So if we've got this idea.
Unwithered, quick
Old Man
segue.
Consequences somehow. Oh, okay. So what I'm going to be talking about next is
the Mimic.
Oh God, I'm so out of my depth. I'm so out of my depth.
Did they make a song about that guy?
My name is
Mimic. I just like play that instead of talking about the Mimic. Oh God, I'm so out of my depth with this thing. Okay, so the Mimic being
is he Burntrap?
The Glitchtrap? No, I don't think so. I think I don't know what the hell Burntrap is. I think it's part of that whole menagerie of things that were supposed to be one thing and became another thing. But I think that with the Gregory drawing showing the Burntrap ending as one of the like many different potential endings, I think that was part of the way they were trying to clean things up and say Gregory probably saw the Mimic and then had this idea about Burntrap, and I think it might be more representative of what the Mimic is. So if that's Glitchtrap or an aspect of Glitchtrap is the Mimic, I think that would be a way of kind of saying, oh, Burntrap might not be a literal thing that you can find anymore in game. Like you can't, like, you know, Cassie couldn't walk over and find it, but it's showing the connection of what the Mimic is now, because Gregory's obviously aware of it, and how it relates to Glitchtrap and Afton and the whole story that we had kind of going on in Security Breach.
I understand that perspective, and I disagree with it for a couple reasons.
Fight.
I respect it though. The thing is, even if Gregory, the thing is, Gregory drew the blob in that image as well, and we know that the blob exists.
That's fair.
So I think that it's possible and especially since he was GGY, I feel like it's completely possible that he was aware of Burntrap as Burntrap. So, and the thing is, like, I feel like, personally, if the Mimic was meant to be Burntrap, even if Burntrap is like just Gregory's perception of it in that moment, I feel like there would be more to connect the two in terms of design than both of them having a hand that was sourced from a Nightmare animatronic model. I feel like the Mimic's design would have incorporated more Burntrap elements if it was meant to be the case where Burntrap was a way that we're supposed to see the Mimic.
That's fair. I feel like it's partially like the hand up against the chest, and also the glitch trap coming out of the charging pod, like Burntrap did.
That's one thing where I was saying I think that Glitchtrap is a combination of William and the Mimic, and I think that as Glitchtrap, that's when William is in control. Because he has the rabbit
disagree,
form.
but I see where you're coming from.
But the Help Wanted 2 ending where like Glitchtrap gets squished is the destruction of William's code. Because in the files for Help Wanted 2, there's this dialogue from a voice that talks about how it refers to Glitchtrap as an it, but then it says something about how a small piece of his code remains, and that you have to find the memories in order to get rid of that code or whatever. And so I took that as a small piece of William's code, the he, is involved with Glitchtrap, and in order to destroy that code, you have to get William's involvement out of it. And the reason, and I think Glitchtrap coming out of the charging pod is meant to link Glitchtrap to Burntrap, but I do think that Glitchtrap is also linked to the Mimic in like a different way. As for the arm curled up in the charging pod, I don't like. I think I think the angle is confusing, and to me, it looks. If you don't look at just the still image, it looks more like he's just pulling his arm back and he's not used to moving, so it's all rickety. Because the door has to open somehow. I think he pushed it open and then was drawing his arm back, and then he's like moving really jerkily. But I don't think it's the plushie, especially with how his hand is angled.
It was a cool
But I
theory,
understand
though.
other perspectives on the matter.
I'm gonna be so honest. I think I'm the Mimic, guys, because that's how I carry my
Oh my god.
and my cups and my cups.
Real quick.
The
thing is, like the arm
We
doesn't look
solved
like
that.
to me that it's against the chest. It looks like it's held out in front of him, and he would be basically balancing the plushie in like the crook of his arm.
Yeah, his elbow or whatever.
And not even up against his body from that angle.
I would agree, but I remember when the Mimic started showing up in the books and they described that whole arm thing, it was like a big point where people were like, that's what Burntrap does, is he's got his arm like that. And that was like a connection. And he holds it that way when he's...
But I don't think it was a real... I personally don't think it was an actual connection. I think it was people seeing something and jumping to conclusions about it, and it's understandable. But I don't think that's what they were trying to get across there. I think it was like, in the book, it's just a thing where it's like, oh, the Mimic's still copying David. And that's part of what throws... That's what gets Edwin to lose it a bit, is the continued copying of David. I don't think it was meant to be it's a Burntrap, you know? Like, I understand why, but because of the design differences and everything, I don't think that's what the intended interpretation was.
It reminds me of when FNAF 4 came out in the 87 versus 83 debates, people pointed to the Mangle toy being, it's proof it's in 1987 because we only see Mangle, the white and pink Foxy, in 1987. It's like, that's not what the point of that Mangle toy is there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Sorry, Squawks.
People saw that and made a connection.
Talk about the DCI, and then Cryonide interrupt him 1.5 minutes through. Go.
Why is that part of it?
He's not going.
I think we all know why.
Sorry, Squawks. DCI. Yeah.
Oh, I thought Squawks died for some
Hey, Hyperdroid. Hyperdroid's in the chat. What's up, man?
Hi, Epper.
I agree, Hyperdroid.
I feel like, in my opinion, in my view of the timeline right now, the DCI is meant to show William's repetition and sort of increased understanding of everything, because he's done the MCI at this point, and that's almost like, no matter what death order you have, that's the confirmation that possession is possible, and now he has to just figure out how to repeat it consistently. And the DCI is like, in my opinion, it's his effort to keep trying to do that. And I almost wonder if Mangle walking around before everyone else does was a way of showing, because there's a line in the second ever teaser of FNAF 2 that mentioned how something borrowed from you, and then Phone Guy mentions that they used parts from the old animatronics.
Mhm.
So those two things combined make me think, and the fact that they're called the Fun Times with Mangle being Funtime Foxy, almost is why I put the Fun Times a little later. Is if you think about what the Fun Times are, they are the application of the DCI in full. Learning that possession was
This is the
possible
purple
by
guy's
repeating it
son.
and proving it was consistent, and then showing that old parts could transfer to new things and transfer over their properties and possession.
I like
that's
that
what
take.
The Fun
That's
Times
interesting.
whole deal are.
But what about Lefty though?
Always
That's
leads to
invalid.
Lefty
Lefty
DCI.
DCI.
Lefty
I'm
DCI
just saying,
time.
like, from William's point of view, that's how things work. Like, that's the setup, the escalation. You have Charlie as this individual victim,
Mhm.
then you have the 5 more victims, and then you have five more, and then learning that there's additional stuff you can do with the original kids on top of that. Then you escalate it even further, hypothetically.
Yeah, I like the idea that it was an experiment.
That could have led to the creation of the Scooper too.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be
I would
after though,
love
right?
to- I'd
DCI
love
would be
to
after
talk about it.
SL, right? Am I tripping?
I said you could. I put Sister Location a little later in the timeline, but
Like I could see the creation of the Fun Times originally being before DCI, but Sister Location as a game.
Oh yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's
Definitely
after.
seems-
That's
yeah.
after.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean the
That's definitely
creation
after.
of
For
the bunker.
sure, yeah.
Meanwhile,
Oh,
there's
good.
me in the corner.
I
Being one of the
Yeah.
few people to believe Sister Location is before FNAF 2 in this call, probably.
I also
think
think
Gibby
it's
does
Maybe
as
even
well.
the only
Yeah.
person.
I think it's hard to
Yay!
say.
Oh,
Little
Gibby, I'd like to apologize for the 17 paragraph comment I left talking about that on your last video.
The only thing about the DCI potentially happening like after Sister Location is like if that happens, then how do you explain the Fun Times being like all possessed?
Times.
Because like they're the MCI, sure, but William wouldn't know anything about possession until he sees the puppet, I'm pretty sure.
Most likely.
So if that hasn't happened, then FNAF 2 hasn't happened yet. So it's like
yeah, and
it's a weird time
wouldn't the
paradox.
puppet
So
have
when-
been earlier in the timeline?
well, yeah, but when
Depending
does
on your...
because when does William see that possession happen? Like, does it
I
happen
think-
all the way
I
back
think
when
he saw it in
1985.
Yeah, I think in
Um,
85.
Well, to go with the
Or
escalation
83.
idea I was talking about, like you have Charlie first proves something. It can happen, that there's some way for something to persist, even if he doesn't understand it yet. Then you have the MCI, or potentially the Fun Times if you want to go that route with Elizabeth, prove that there's a correlation, that these kids come to life in these characters. And then, like I said, the DCI is the escalation, repeat the experiment, prove for a fact
Yeah.
it's possible.
Hey, thank you, dual process theory. That's really sweet.
Or if you want to escalate, depending on the order, you can have like, you have Charlie prove that possession is possible. MCI refines it down to why it's possible. DCI proves it's consistently possible and isn't bound to any one kid, and teaches him about Remnant, and then he executes on those ideas for Fun Times. That's my
Yeah.
personal order.
See,
But there's-
I wonder
Like-
if. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Wizard, you
my-
got a
the way
membership.
I interpreted it was
Go ahead though.
was Charlie shows that
Oh.
something's up, and then he starts
Thank
trying to
you,
figure
dual
out what it
process
is, and
theory.
that was the nightmare experiments. And I think from there, he sort of figures out, like from Charlie, he would sort of be aware that hey, okay, so kid dies, animatronic also there, something happens, and so in order to continue experimenting, he has the Funtime animatronics built to catch kids, and so he does that, and I think like after Elizabeth is when he starts understanding Remnant more, but also he doesn't want to like have the whole situation where the robots are doing things and he's not in control of the situation. So I think from there is where he goes in and he kills the kids, the 5 kids, to be like, okay, will this work again in doing this? And then it works, but he gets in trouble and then has to go sort of undercover. I put Sister Location here for after this for a variety of reasons, but that's not the point. And then I think that the DCI was him attempting to get more Remnant because he was still wanting to like experiment with it and understand it better and do things. You're like,
Yes,
So
I've been
this-
waiting for this one. Sorry, keep
So-
going.
So with yeah, I was just gonna say with the idea of William experimenting using the DCI, I want to talk about Casa DCI in a bit, but with experimenting, there's something interesting about his behavior in Save Them versus how he treats the other like the MCI and Elizabeth and stuff. He seems to be actively working against the animatronics with Save Them, you can't. When he catches withered Freddy, it says you can't in the bottom right corner or bottom left corner. We could assume that that's either the puppet saying it or Golden Freddy, but I think it's only you get that message when you get attacked by Afton. And the bodies are all strewn about. They don't seem to be hidden. I wonder if we keep what we were talking about earlier with like the shadow idea, if perhaps William is experimenting with more than just possession, but like trying to manifest creatures. Could he potentially be trying to create something like potentially RWQ by like not stuffing the kids this time, but like having a concentrated act, and that's why they're all spread about the pizzeria? Maybe he's trying to see what sort of reactions things will have, what happens. There could be some sort of
I don't know about
motive
RW.
there.
Do you read minds?
I don't know about RWQ specifically, but it could be the case for the other Shadow Animatronics. The reason I don't put RWQ as being connected to the DCI is because RWQ, assuming the DCI happens during the week that we're working there, and RWQ is already making appearances on day one. I personally take that as him existing before him, but it's understandable if not. But I do really like the idea of what William's experimenting with here is less the possession and more what else works.
What else can happen? Yeah.
I put out a thing recently on like public trading companies and where assets go when things are closed. For me, DCI, right now anyway, my main thinking about it is after MCI, we know the first Freddy's closes within a year. If he wasn't able to observe any kind of possession after the MCI before Freddy's closed, if we're to assume Fazbear is a public company, which it seems like it is because the paperwork we get in these games, most commonly, if there's a bankruptcy, the shareholders maintain assets until the business is reopened. It's called like a reorganization bankruptcy. And there even mentions in the FNAF 2 newspaper of like in the hopes of a future reorganization. So if this is the case, all this to say, in between the original Freddy's and FNAF 2 Freddy's being open, if the business is closed, the shareholders have the assets. William doesn't have access to the animatronics anymore. So my thinking was, once FNAF 2 opens, William is desperate to see if he can get a reaction out of these animatronics. So it's like, okay, what if I put on the Spring Bonnie suit and kill kids right in front of them to see if they react to me?
Interesting.
Actually, yeah, because I had
additional building on that with the stockholder idea. What if trying to sync Freddy's is the way of him trying to get the company back, and that's what makes sister location possible, like the rental service?
Interesting.
Like
That's
think about
interesting
how
because then
public
the
that
DCI is an
master
actual motive.
Yeah.
I like that.
Run that again. I misunderstood.
So the idea is this is a much more public intentional massacre, or not public, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot more of a massacre than the other one is. Like the other one's all in the back room, it's hidden away. The fun times once
It's
they're properly made
premeditated.
are pretty stealthy. But the DCI is just strewn about the whole place. If Henry or the other stockholders and other owners are there, they would sell their stock in a dying company from a second huge massacre, and that would leave it all to William as the last remaining owner.
Interesting. Because I have the thought that that's why he did the MCI in the first place, was that he lost access to the sister. I think Elizabeth dies before the MCI, and therefore he loses access to everything, and that's why he goes to do the MCI and to shut down Freddy's. I don't know how much ownership he retains into that part of the timeline. I don't know, but because he's working as a night guard there, so I don't know if he'd still have. Oh, interesting. I like the idea that he does it to shut down Freddy's. I think to like ruin it. And if the idea is that he doesn't have access to anything and he kills the MCI trying to see possession, it's really interesting then if he literally doesn't have a chance to work on them until the FNAF 2 location opens. Like you said, right? Like that could be that line works really well.
I'm gonna move us on. Rye, Candy Cadet, go.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Let her rip.
Oh. All right. So Candy Cadet.
This is going to be interesting.
Do we want to go one story
I
at a
guess-
time? or-
One at a time. One at a time.
Right, because it's like which Candy Cadet at this point, which is another whole
Oh,
thing
yeah.
on top of it. This is like one of the few topics that I've just purposely avoided. I think
Good call.
I am of the like old mindset of FNAF 6 where Candy Cadet is kind of just trying to reiterate the fun times situation. And I understand like there are differences within the stories, so and they are worthwhile to bring up, but like in my brain, it's kind of a matter of these stories were so rare to get that it was at the time I could see it being, yeah, there's different stories, but they all do kind of go around the idea of combining things. And at this point in the series, that was still kind of a fresh idea that a lot of people hadn't thought of before to help explain things. Although I do understand there are differences that are meaningful and should be discussed. But I think the more pertinent conversation here for Candy Cadet is probably Help Wanted 2 and Ruin. Because, oh boy.
How does he know?
Oh boy, Help Wanted 2 and Ruin. Ruin, Candy Cadet. To me. I gotta make sure I'm not mixing up which story goes where.
That's the in the basement.
For a second-
Trapped in the
Well, I
basement. There was a
can't correct
monster.
you on which one goes
No.
where if needed.
I'm just pulling up the wiki real quick. Don't worry
Yeah,
about
I'll
it.
pull up the stories on my end too, so if people on the stream
I
can
had to
see.
pull up like 3 different wiki pages in order to get my
Candy
stuff sorted
Cadet
out for my Candy Cadet video.
stories.
Do we think that Candy Cadet might have some amount of like hauntedness?
He has to.
I think
He'd have to.
Candy Cadet has to have at least witnessed. So there's at least some sentience
Well,
there.
because
I don't know if it's particularly.
you can argue in like
the mimic.
you can argue in
Shadow.
FNAF 6, like Henry programmed him to tell those stories, but in Ruin, how does he know? Like,
To be
Exactly.
honest,
I mean-
like it's a lame explanation, but I had just been assuming that Scott and Steele will really like the concept of Candy Cadet, and that's just kind of a gameplay moment of like, oh, here's a cool way to tell this spooky story. I have not, and like that's a lame answer, right?
Yeah.
Because they never do something like that. But with Candy Cadet specifically, I can't think of a good explanation for it to be, say, possessed. Now, could there be some kind of memory shenanigans going on? Sure. But for me, it's like Candy Cadet is so perfectly only able to tell a cryptic story. So, like, whenever they want to tell a
mean,
cryptic story, they use Candy Cadet.
It's funny that
Maybe
it shows
we'll,
up in Williams' hell in
Yeah.
UCN. It's in the office, right?
Yeah.
It's clearly supposed to tell us that Old Man Consequences is Candy
I
Cadet.
mean, of
I mean,
anyone.
for all we know.
Consequences Cadet.
Consequences Cadet. New
Yeah,
peak
Cryonite
theory just
and I
dropped.
had the absolutely insane idea that the story about the woman with the 5 keys is referring to Save Them from FNAF 2. Because she goes outside her
Went to
room,
DCI.
the 5 bodies are all in different rooms, and she wants to save them, but she cannot. So she takes the key to 5 deaths. The only problem is that there's 6 bloodstains in the DCI.
True.
That's the only weird thing about it.
Yeah.
Everything else about it fits a little too well.
Dude, it's
The Ruin story, I don't think is a massive lore drop because the Ruin story to me just seems like a parable of
Mimic
Ruin.
foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Whereas like the Help Wanted 2 story, I think is the meaningful one. When
Yeah.
the Help Wanted 2 story being the young woman who goes to the woods, is almost eaten by the witch, comes back later stronger, and then the little boy like tricks her into the oven. I look at
Wait.
this.
Sorry.
No, no,
Go ahead.
please.
Go ahead.
Bro
go ahead.
had an
Sorry.
epiphany.
Please, 'cause I'm brainstorming
Sorry.
here, so like please.
Let me just look at this really, just like the story. But just when you were saying that, and we were talking earlier about Princess Cassidy. If the young woman is Cassidy and the witch is William and the young boy is potentially GGY, could that be part of what like IDs was saying about like moving Cassidy from William into Princess Quest and like trapping her there?
Well, you definitely need to see the full story links because
That would be the oven then.
definitely goes.
I do.
Someone
that's a
should
cool
recite the
idea.
story.
All right, I got it.
But-
Now
I
let
got
me
it.
tell you a
I'll find it.
story
Oh, he's
about
got
a
it.
young woman who, when she was little, was led into a dark forest by a witch and almost eaten. She had fallen for the friendly voice without discernment and was led astray. She had escaped before being thrown into the oven, but would have a scar for the rest of her life. When she had grown, she sought revenge on the witch and entered the forest again willingly, this time with the confidence of age and experience. She was greeted at the mouth of the forest by a young boy, who offered to help guide her through the darkness. She welcomed the help and followed the young boy over the river, through the jagged trees, and toward a small house. "Come," the boy said, "rest here before killing the witch." The young woman was tired and would kill the witch in the morning. She followed the boy into the house. The oven door closed. The witch would finally have her meal.
Bravo.
We all just shut up and
Very
let him
good.
cook for a minute there.
In my half-assed Cadet
What's the
impression.
scar?
Cook, right? Let's cook.
She had a scar
So
for the
the
rest
way
of her life.
I interpret it is the thing is like the stuff in Pizzeria Simulator connects into Pizzeria Simulator, like whether or not it's the Molten Freddy situation
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
my interpretation is it's giving us insight into 3 different characters that are sort of coming together to beat William. Charlie, Michael, and Henry. So that connects to the events of Pizzeria Simulator. The Ruin one connects directly into what's happening in Ruin right then. And I think that the Help Wanted 2 one is similar, where, especially since it's another one in the Steel Wool era, I think it's supposed to be about our player character. And the way I interpret it is we are playing, so like, we're playing as Cassie's dad. And I think he's Help Wanted Jeremy. And that the scar is what happened where he sliced his face. But the thing is, when they mentioned, oh, there's a mask on the floor, it's described as a Halloween mask, and the lights in the room were on. So if Tape Girl was in there and it was just a guy's fleshy face bits, I feel like she would have seen that. But if it was like an actual mask cut off, that could look more like a Halloween mask, and it would be easier to mistake the blood for ink.
Well, also,
I think that Jeremy survived that barely. And like also there's a lawsuit mentioned, and my assumption would be he's alive in order to sue. And I think he wanted revenge on Glitchtrap for what happened to him, even though he managed to escape. And so he comes back to Fazbear Entertainment as a technician, but through the Vanny mask, Helpy or whatever lures him to the place and gets him stuck, and then he dies.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the light bulb I put together for a recent video was that little boy is, if that's the case, that little boy is definitely Helpy, which I think a lot of people would like miss at first. But you look at Ruin, that's your little guide boy, and he's luring you straight into the oven.
That's true.
Interesting.
I want to talk about on
You know,
the.
I'm gonna be honest. I
go
was
ahead.
never
Vanny mask
convinced.
with Helpy in it.
I was never convinced on Cassie's dad being Jeremy Help Wanted until just now. I do like that rationale.
Yay!
Sweet.
I want to say though, for the
No,
for
I
the,
like it too.
the Halloween mask on the floor thing. Oh, go ahead, Jojo.
Oh, I was just gonna say it
You're my
sounds
guest,
far-fetched,
finish.
but not like a bad far-fetched, because like what else is there supposed to be?
Yeah.
And like for FNaF, this is relatively reasonable.
Anything's
In this
possible
case, would we be able to then say that we don't have to take the genders and ages of characters in the other stories as literal?
Yeah.
The way I
Because if this
take
is
it
about
is-
Jeremy, and
Well,
we're talking about a young woman.
I mean,
So the way I take it is with the Steel Wool ones, the genders are relatively flipped. So
Interesting.
and I don't think the ages really matter generally too much. But like in the Mimic Ruin one, there's the mom with whose voice is mimicked to lure the young boy. Meanwhile, in Ruin, we have Gregory's voice being copied to lure Cassie, and that swaps the genders there. So when I was initially looking into the Help Wanted 2, sorry if I'm dominating the conversation. I just did a video on Candy Cadet, and I'm really excited about the topic. But I looked at it from the perspective of the genders being flipped, and if we are playing as Cassie's dad, that made sense to me. That like, okay, we've got in this story, we've got this woman who, if we flip the genders, that's a guy, and then there's a witch who's a her, but Glitchtrap, whatever, is probably like it's referred to as an it, but like it's got the his code still in there, so he switches to girl. Helpy is it's a thing, but
yeah, it's more.
I mean,
more
can't
just
really
like
switch on
roles.
that one. Little boy, little girl, Helpy.
Yeah, I want to add
I
to
don't
the
think
Jeremy
that one
thing
matters too
real
much.
quick.
But I do think that the genders match in the original ones, because my interpretation is the story of the young woman with the keys is about Charlie trying to help the missing kids. And I think the one about the boy with the snake is Michael during Sister Location. Well, in the lead up to, and then the events of Sister Location, putting his sister back together, and like turning a blind eye, because the snake is described as the color red. Anyway, doesn't matter too much. And then I think that the kind man who let the orphans into his home, I think that's Henry, and then a burglar shows up, kills the 5 kids. It's like, oh, yep, there's the MCI, and so I think that's where that is.
I think I just got it. That's the Jeremy being the Help Wanted 2 tester with the Gita paper slasher thing. What if the Halloween mask is literally just the Vanny network mask he wears, and the paper slicer is to get the chip out of his head?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The paper slicer is to get the chip out of his head.
Exactly.
That's what I'm
Yes,
saying.
that's what I'm saying.
It could be.
That's actually way better.
That's good. Yeah, that too.
It could definitely.
Fanny mask in Help Wanted, and if you look at the other side of it, it looks a little
Red.
bloody.
This kind of goes
What
back
if-
to the like semi-joke theory that me and Underscore brought up on a podcast recently, with the Help Wanted 2 house that we get that has that mural of the like old-fashioned cart.
Oh no.
And all this mask
Yeah,
symbology.
like the caravan.
Yeah, the caravan. This half joking, half like a oh, what if? But like it feels like this is building up to whatever inspiring the Fall Fest or early Fredbears being this like traveling mask-based circus, because masks are getting way more important way quickly, like so quickly.
We have to see like just a portion of the factory in Secret of the Mick that just has like masks. It's just got to be a mask room, which will be freaky. Inherent. If that was a thing, there's like a bunch of masks. That would make for a crazy second of the game. But it would make sense.
We know that Vanny made her mask, but yeah, what if? Okay,
She
so
made
this
her
is
costume.
elaborate.
The mask isn't the same as the costume. The heads are
Yeah,
It's a different
the
one,
mask
yeah.
is
Heads are
interesting.
it's inspired design-wise, but
Well-
it's not the same.
Well,
Yeah.
it is
Okay,
ultimately
so
a question
the
if
mask could have existed.
if she could have made the mask. That's what you have to ask yourself. Could she have made that, or did she get that somewhere?
Well, it's also like an official part of Fazbear like employees, so it's like I guess
Yeah.
she probably did not make
Strangely.
it. But think about it this way, because we also the Bonnie mask at the end of Help Wanted 2 and linked it back
Maybe that
to the
was his
Bonnie
mask.
bully.
Yep.
But yeah, what if that was the mask? That was the Halloween mask. We're playing as a Jeremy. It's a like is that something?
It is a Halloween mask too. It looks more like the Halloween mask in Dreadbear.
it's
The Halloween
literally-
mask in Dreadbear.
Maybe
You'll see.
he took his mask and modified it while under Glitchtrap's control.
In
Not to
Trick or
mention the
Treat Treatment
puppets
game.
all just being a basic doll with a mask on.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The masks have been a thing in the series for a while based on that, because if you
Yeah.
go back to Happiest Day, it's the kids wearing their
Yeah.
animatronics masks.
Don't we first?
And then Andrew has his alligator mask and all that.
If we're doing mimic like recreating things, he literally found a Jeremy to become like
mimic.
Bonnie. Like that's his kind of
Another Jeremy to be another Bonnie.
Yeah.
And the staff bot has ears. The staff bot he gets put into has ears.
So
Yes.
I was about to say that with Fall Fest. In the
This might be a
Vanny
nothing
claim-
connection.
Vanny claims she made her mask. She says, "Yes, I have it. I made it myself." That's the dialogue you get.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
I will say this might be a nothing connection, but it is worth mentioning that we first get the Vanny mask by going through wooden cellar doors down cement stairs. Does anyone remember in a recent book that came out something that we found?
Oh.
Yes! Cellar doors down cement stairs. Help me!
Oh, and where does it? Oh wait, no.
And it leads to a doll that looks like
Leads to a
maybe
sister.
Eleanor, maybe circus baby question mark.
Yeah, and it leads to a circus baby or a sister location elevator
Don't love that.
in Help Wanted 2.
Don't know
Oh
that.
God.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I wasn't even thinking about.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about Return to the Pit.
How are we actually cooking?
No,
on
I
the
know,
stream?
but I'm saying I'm
no.
connecting the thing you're
No, yeah,
connecting back
you're
to
right,
it.
You're right.
That's crazy.
All right, Jojo, do you want to start us on Psychic Friend Fredbear? Any thoughts on that?
Oh
no.
boy! Oh, I get to start psych. He's here. He's there. He's
Everywhere. Who you gonna call? Psychic Friend
Fredbear.
Lord.
Okay, so my opinion on Psychic Friend Fredbear. I got put on the mic. Where do I start? I will die on the hill that this thing is a walkie-talkie and not a hallucination, because why would Scott have put that in the private room office? And
Is it a walkie-talkie or is it camera control?
It is real.
I
The
feel like-
doll is real. At
Oh,
least.
that's a good
It
question.
has a speaker on it.
The crying child is inside of it.
I'm not sure if it's
Real?
speaker.
Whoa.
And if we're going off the theory and the suspicion that bite victim or crying child was a victim of the experiments, it would definitely be like every little place is a different plushie, like that you see on the map when he's like Flowey and stuff.
Cameras, at least, yeah.
Then, if it's in the experiments and the map to Fredbears and stuff that we see that's connected in the sister location bunker is experiments and bite victim was an experiment victim, then it would be a real plushie and each one of those was like actual locations. Or it was almost like it was a, hear me out, that brain chip. You know how Helpy talks to you? What if William put a little brain chip inside bite victim?
That's
I just
just
came up with that on the
insanity.
fly.
Oh no.
That is
There,
insane.
but doesn't
That would
Secret of
be-
the Mimic
Fanny
I
man.
know
Friend
a
brain
guy
chip.
Fanny
the
man.
AR has
Friend
existed
brain
since
chip.
70.
No,
This is
kidding.
true.
He's got the fucking
like
disc,
brain
the
chip.
gas, the brain chip. He's wombo comboing
I'm
him.
willing to bite the
This is
bullet that
broken.
like when FNAF 4 was being developed, he was like, it's all a dream. I can put this little Fredbear thingy anywhere. And then when Sister
Yeah.
Location came out, he was like, everybody forget that I did that, please. Please forget that it's a flower, please.
Because I'm
Yeah,
almost
'cause-
positive it was not the killer when the game came out. I don't think even if it's
Yes.
Purple Guy now, I do not think Psychic Friend Fredbear was originally Purple Guy.
I agree.
The only thing that I have to imagine that Scott potentially intended for Fredbear to be some sort of walkie-talkie device, and maybe is being like interpreted by the bite victim or something, is the fact that the end of night cutscenes end with "Tomorrow is another day," which is a strange quote to give to like a child possessing something. And it also speaks very eloquently and quite like, it seems to have a grasp on the situation. But like, Tomorrow's Another Day is like a quote from Gone with the Wind, right? So it's like, that's kind of an older movie reference. Maybe it's trying to imply that whoever's talking through this is of an older age group. It's sort of the way it acts, you could argue, is more like an adult who is in control of a situation rather than as a child who is like, kind of possessing this little doll, and the fact that it doesn't intervene in any sort of way in the final 2 nights of the game, which is we're in the final 2 mini games.
Well, because you're in the back room and you see if that's a person, you see that and it doesn't talk when it's in the suit. I don't know. Matt said it's wires. I wouldn't draw wires like that. I would make them like colored.
I thought it. I used to think it was just like
I
fur.
think it's hair or a really ugly shadow.
Yeah, I think it's fur or wires. And
Yeah.
the thing is, they just chose a dark color to. Because I think the point is partially the whole like things
What's
in
seen in the shadow?
Misunderstood thing.
child.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I think that's sort of supposed to be something to throw us off the scent, sort of like how we had to be like, wait, FNAF 2 isn't a sequel, even though it has 2 in
Yeah.
the name. I think that could be something where it's like maybe the crying child he's freaking out, so he assumes that he would think maybe it's hair, but it's I wouldn't draw hair like that either personally.
And I think as well, if he's inside the suit, they have a different color for like they should have a different color for what's in the suit and the back of the suit, but it's both just the one color. It seems to be like the shadow inside the suit and the hair itself are all the one color. But I think it's not supposed to be a body, because it's also like people work in Fredbear's and like it's an active back room presumably. Even if they went in to get him, they'd be like, oh wait, yeah,
It's still
exactly.
an era
It's an
where
active
Fredbear
suit.
is still in use. People would have gone there and found the body at this point.
Well, but
I think
besides
there's
that,
There's a
I
reason
think
the
it's-
message is what's seen in the shadows is easily misunderstood in the eyes of a child, and not what is seen in the shadows is easily seen by a child. Crying child
Yeah,
misunderstood
I
what he
think-
saw, and those are the wires.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
think
could
I
be-
think as
that could
well,
be-
like
Those are-
I think you're onto something. Like you're right in when you're saying that like there are elements of this game which are designed to make you think one thing, but you're supposed to reflect on them in a different way. Like for example, the whole if you die, they hide your body and they come to life at night. All that kind of stuff is making you think, oh, this is after all the kids are dead. This is after this. This is after that. But then you have
TV to
like
say, "Oh, it's
I think
actually
even the
83."
Bite of 83 thing. Yeah, I think even the bite is supposed to give you the Markiplier reaction, and you're supposed to go, is that the Bite of 87? And then you eventually, like in the same way that with the FNAF 2 game, it's like you're playing through it and you're going, oh, this is a sequel. Oh wait, no, it's a prequel. Oh, it must be about the MCI. Wait, no, it's not. It's about a whole different thing.
Yeah.
There's kind of like these layers of pulling back reveals one after the other after the other.
All right, I'm taking a big swing here. Does anyone think that it's Cassidy or Charlie in the plush?
As well, you have to be
Exclusively
specific
the
because there's
final
two
night,
speakers.
I think it's Charlie.
Because which speaker do you want to ask about? Because you have the first one, which is the first 5 nights. Then you got that text color change on the final one, where it's a lighter yellow.
But another part of the reason I talked about it a bit earlier, but another part of the reason I think it's Charlie more so and not William there is I personally think it would be weird for William to be like, oh yeah, we're still your friends. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
But I feel like if it was like, oh, it's the text color changes because it's William in person in the hospital or something. I feel like he would be referring to like, oh, this is my son. It's like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
your father. I'm going to protect
The
you.
only problem I have with that
Yeah.
is I will put you back together becomes like the Afton final smash. They all say that shit. That's like their ultimate.
I have a.
Yes. For that, I think that's more to connect the concepts.
Yeah.
I think putting together isn't a character-specific thing. I think it's just a thing that
I also.
is
Sorry,
a
go
thing.
ahead.
You know, I think it's
I
a
also-
situation where different characters say it because they're all doing the same thing.
My
Yeah, and I
take
think-
for sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think that there's like kind of a thematic reversal with the two different I will put you back togethers. One of them is about Bite Victim and trying to make him happy and create like Happiest Day or at least help his soul. Whereas with Elizabeth, when she is put back together, quote unquote, by Michael, in the next game she's crazy and just wants to kill everyone and work for William.
Yeah.
So I think we're seeing like the two sides of the same coin. Both are being put back together, but one is being in with good intention and one is with bad.
I liked
I've
Gibby's
been going-
take that the yellow eyes was actually Michael Afton. That was very unique. I'd never seen that before. Is he alive?
Yeah, I'm
He
not
lives.
not super like married to that interpretation of it. I do think that there's a lot of important symbolism to take and a lot of very important lines you can draw between Psychic Friend Fredbear in FNAF 4 and then the mystery glowing eyes in FNAF World.
Of course.
I'm not married to the idea that like it is Mike, but I do think it's important to note that like it's the glowing eyes in the void in FNAF World that repeats the lines from FNAF 4.
Yes.
And that the glowing eyes in the
This is the purple guy's son.
void is not the glitch bear that then will go on to like talk to your character throughout FNAF World. Like those are two different characters. If you look at like all their speaking lines, they actually contradict each other. And so I think that's like a very important like there's a
That is
good
true.
glitchy bear and a bad Freddy bear thing.
I don't even think that there's like two different baths. There's just two different perspectives at the very least.
Yeah,
'Cause
or two people like
Okay.
in
Usually not
control.
talking to the same person.
Wild
Yes,
card.
because-
Yeah.
I have an
It is
interpretation of the
different each
Fredbear
time.
plush that is a bit different, and I want to share it. So I believe that the speaker from FNAF 4 is William, but the reason that we see the glitch bear in FNAF World is because, so we can agree the Fredbear plush, this is obvious, was like the crying child's favorite toy when he was alive. It was like his comfort thing. So, in a game that I believe is centered entirely around freeing the crying child's soul, it would make sense for whoever it is that's trying to save him to take on the form of that plush. It doesn't have to be the same person as FNAF 4. It can just be going like through the same kind of, I guess, kind of like voice filter thing, taking on a similar character that Crying Child liked when he was alive. I think it's Charlie doing this. I think it's
Pretending to
Charlie
be-
helping the Crying Child, but yeah, like pretending to be
The thing
his
is, I think
friend when he was
generally,
alive.
I agree that like maybe it's just taking on the form of something he trusts. But the thing is, like in the final scene where it connects to the final lines in FNAF 4, there isn't a bear on the screen. It's just these two glowing eyes in the void. So it's not necessarily a plush situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the lines connect so directly that it does. It's not just a case of like just the "I will put you back together" line. It's like the entire conversation is like mirrored over.
I think a similar thing. For a bit, I've been thinking about the idea of like what these spirits see in the afterlife, because we know from like so many different examples that they're not, if they're for whatever reason, some reason their spirit is compromised, they're not seeing what's actually going on, right? And I'll throw something in the VC chat. I link back to the fourth closet when the missing child incident victims, until they are helped and given their memories back, they see William as the like cartoon rabbit character that they knew Spring Bonnie to be. So linking that with Cassidy, the theory that I've been rocking with for a little bit is that since in this interpretation, Cassidy would be the only spirit in Golden Freddy at the time of, okay, there's a little bit of a time gap. Essentially, it was Crying Child dies, and he's kind of just a lost spirit wandering for a bit. And the first thing to reach out to him and connect with him is, in his eyes, his little psychic friend Fredbear character that he held so dear. But that's just how Cassidy appears to him because of Cassidy's vessel. So that was kind of the thinking that I had there.
That's the same way it worked with Jake and Andrew in the Stitch line. Is Andrew's just kind of like there, doesn't really know what's happening. He's like hurt a few people, can't really remember anything, and then Jake arrives, and suddenly they can like talk to one another, and Jake like helps Andrew remember stuff. So if we're going for like a parallel idea, or like not even saying they're not necessarily in the same universe, but that the possession works in the same way as if you have two people sharing one thing, that, you know, if Cassidy shows up even years later, she can still access that form and those memories and help him in the way we see with the logbook.
Yeah, like Rye Toast brings up Alone Together for the umpteenth thousandth
Rye Toast
time.
brings it up?
But no, it's just making a joke that I bring up this book every other month, because Alone Together is so important. But in Alone Together, there's that whole thing about like, if your body is undiscovered or your memory or like you don't know your own death, you kind of just wander around the places you've been, and you may not even know that you're dead. And I see that a lot with like the MCI victims and with the Crying Child specifically and all this. So there's just more precedence for that possibility.
So to expand upon that, this is something I talked about in the Golden Freddy video. The phrase "you're broken" is interesting because it's said before the version of him in the hospital flatlines, which implies he's broken before he even dies, depending on how we view that incident. Which means either the character talking then knows he's already dead, and like I said, this is a flashback thing, or he's broken before he even dies. And that would be interesting going with what I was talking about, with the idea of part of him could be attached to Fredbear because of the bite, but then his actual body dies in the hospital, which would be the lost soul, lost for a long time before Cassie kind of reaches out and reins it back in some. Potentially.
It's notable that FNAF World ends. The secret at the clock ending of FNAF World is in a random spot in the middle of the woods, and what is also in the middle of the woods but a lump in Midnight Motorist.
I was gonna say, if he's not found,
things,
could be on
things,
right.
who's who in the minigame.
True, of course. Yeah, one interpretation.
Yes.
Could we also say that, because in FNAF World, I was looking at the opening cutscenes recently, and there's a really interesting line that the Spooky Eyes say, and it's just after the like repeating of the FNAF 4 lines, I think, and like the everything that happens out there. I'm just trying to get the exact quote here. So, something went very wrong. That's why I am here, but I won't let the same happen to you. This is presumably talking to the bite victim. So whatever the Yellow Eyes is trying to prevent is something that has happened to them already. Yeah. So, and there's something that went very wrong out there. That's why I'm here, i.e. in the void. So I won't let the same happen to you kind of sounds like the Yellow Eyes is already lost.
No, crazy. Oh, sorry, not to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, crazy idea off of that as an answer to that, which I hadn't thought about that before. In a shatter victim sense. Okay, so combining a couple ideas all at once. Stormister's
in.
interpretation of the vengeful spirit, that the reason the vengeful spirit gets attached to William is William kind of takes apart Golden Freddy and attaches it to himself in between FNAF 3 and FNAF 6, which I love that theory. I think it's spot on, but it's still just a theory, of course. But if that's true, and combining what you just said about the intro to FNAF World, if that event is what prevents the vengeful spirit from moving on, because now the vengeful spirit is in pieces, is that looking at the crying child, hey, they can't move on, we're gonna find your pieces and help you move on.
Yeah, it's like a shattered Cassidy.
Interesting, but that would imply that they
shattered Cassidy.
Just a spitball.
The other idea,
that's interesting
that
because
line is this is part of my theory. Cassidy, I forgot my own theory names. Molten MCI Alter S was the idea that Golden Freddy never got dismantled. It started out as vengeful spirits lashed onto William, but then it kind of spun out of control with that. But the idea of I won't let the same happen to you. The other 4 were dismantled, but Cassidy as Golden Freddy can't let that happen to you again. If they are connected in one suit, Cassidy has the power to prevent that suit from being destroyed.
Interesting. I kind of see it as Golden Freddy doesn't have a physical form by the end of the series, which could even go further into saying that they're potentially broken up. That because Golden Freddy's the only animatronic, as far as I can tell, and off the top of my head, that changes appearances like without having like a logical explanation for it. I don't think there's a reason that they would repair the Golden Freddy suit and make it into a classic in FNAF 1. I don't think there's a reason that Yendo would be a funtime animatronic. We never see Golden Freddy in the minigames post FNAF 2. I think there's a potential that after, whether it's the DCI or just after the closure of FNAF 2, that the withered Golden Freddy suit is just completely scrapped, and that from there, Cassidy just looks as the rest of them do, and just sort of like follows them around, and can look like, if they're in the fun times, she looks like the fun times. If they're in the classics, she looks like the classics. That idea is she's just following them everywhere they go.
Yeah.
And then you'd have that idea with, if that's the case, that's why Cassidy can't access Happiest Day, maybe, is because their physical form was literally destroyed, and they have to like put the bite victim back together for him and the others.
On the note of Golden Freddy, we landed on underscore for the wild card. How would you feel about FNAF 1 Golden Freddy isn't real?
You cut out.
Oh,
you definitely cut out.
Okay. How would you feel about explaining the Golden Freddy might not be real video?
Oh, dude, that one was so fun. I like that one. That's a movie one. That's more of like a movie video.
Yeah, that's
I did. And it started talking about the drawing that you see that controls the animatronics. And I think a lot of people have ultimately noticed that there appears to be a face put over what you would assume is the Golden Freddy kid. Does everybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, I tried a bunch of weird ways to figure out what that meant. But one of the funnest things that I've noticed over the years that I wanted to make a stupid idea on was there's this little one line from FNAF World. And it really depends who you think you're going to play as in FNAF World. But let's say for some reason in FNAF World you are playing as like Cassidy or something. There's this one crazy line that I picked out, and it's the line that says you are made for one thing.
Huh.
And I had fun applying that. And you know what? And I tied it in Help 1 and 2. You take in the soda minigame to get the Golden Freddy plush. You take 4 sodas, add them all together, and then you take the soda can from somewhere else and dump that in, and that makes Golden Freddy for you. The idea was this weird shot in the dark about what if, and mostly for the movie kid, that kid never technically existed as a kid, and is some weird child created through the combination of these other spirits.
Super Power Ranger.
That is what that is.
Megazord.
That is cool.
Yeah, that's.
like that.
I remember I saw that video.
There was a theory from someone else floating around that Golden Freddy isn't real, but not in that sense, where it's more
Yeah,
kind of like
no.
a weird ghost of everything. And not just that, like just everything, all the bad stuff. It's weird, but I like it.
Yeah, it was not that. You'd think from the thumbnail it's like, oh, he thinks Golden Freddy isn't physical, and then you click in and it's like, oh, he doesn't think the kid existed. That's cool.
My only issue with that is what is the name? Where does the name Cassidy come from?
Okay,
then, if
now-
there was no actual child.
Let me be clear.
No
it was
way.
mostly for the movies.
Yeah.
I think Cassidy existed, but what if there was a weird twist around in the movies? That's what I'm getting at.
There's a
Unless
theory in my head.
Cassidy's not Golden Freddy's name.
I swear to God.
Let's
It's the
let's calm
blade.
down.
I was gonna say it's the puppet's name.
It's
mine.
Andrew. Oh, it's Andrew.
Andrew Cassidy.
The
full
puppet
name.
doesn't have an official name in the games.
Not yet.
This is true.
It's just a survival logbook.
So, I mean, if you wanted to branch out on that, I would open up the discussion to what the frick is going on with the Golden Freddy movie, kid? Because this is just a prediction. I don't, air quotes, believe this, but if it happened to be true, I would dance on everybody's graves. Those kinds of discussions.
Whoa.
So be with Rockstar MCI.
So, anybody else have any interesting notes about the Golden Freddy kid in the movie or the MCI in general?
I would say that one detail, he does pull up to somebody's house. Detail number 2, he is very clearly playing the role of like a kind of vengeful spirit in that movie, or if not that,
he looks like the picture.
They make an effort to distinguish him. He's the only one that knows what's going on, oddly enough. The other 4 animatronics aren't fooled, but the Golden Freddy kid knows Spring Bonnie's the killer, which I find is that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's an interesting note about Golden Freddy in general is, in Follow Me, the 5th spirit's the one that corners Afton. I mean, the other 4 are blocking it off, but they're the one doing stuff. In Fourth Closet, Michael Brooks doesn't recognize William as William. He recognizes him as Spring Bonnie, but he's the only one whose mind is completely intact otherwise. He's the one trying to help every other kid. And the movie, like you said, he's the only one that seems to be fully aware of what's going on of the missing kids.
And the
he
only
can
one that
talk, his
speaks,
face
yeah.
never
The only
blurs
one that
out.
speaks, if I'm correct, is him.
Yeah. I mean,
Foxy
the
Kid
Freddy
yells
Kid
once.
says-
Oh, yeah.
Freddy Kid also says, follow me in that one scene.
Follow. Alright, this is what I've been most excited for. Raven, the retcon. The one retcon. What is it?
Oh no.
Near Axiom?
Oh no, this is the one thing I didn't prepare for. Okay.
Nephews Act Team Unites again.
I'm the one retcon. Well,
We talked about this,
I
Raven.
think
You know the script.
after the conversation we had in this, actually, I think it would have to be with the arrest of someone, specifically the conviction part of
convict,
it,
yeah.
not the charging, but rather the conviction part.
I'm still fully sold on
That's
that.
always
The
been a
reason
weird
for
line in
that is because
newspaper
every
to me, 'cause-
time
Because the headline says one thing, but then the body of the newspaper says one thing. So my guess is Scott just didn't know the difference between charged and convicted
Yeah.
and used them interchangeably.
Well, retcon means it's something Scott had
Right,
to
you
have
also want to say that,
confirmed.
like,
Sometimes be
every
convicted,
at one
but
point.
time it's
not
ever
go
brought
to
up in the
jail.
future,
Part of I bought
like
this
every
a
time
while
it's ever
ago.
brought up in the
Are you dying?
future, there you go.
Oh, he's withering. Or cooked.
Sorry.
Womp womp.
My
Am
back.
I withering?
Yeah, that's
Someone-
usually my
someone's withering.
thing.
All right, unwithered, go.
Okay, you're back, I think.
I thought this a while ago about the FNaF 3 tapes from Phone Guy, and I was thinking about the retcon and how it probably is of something earlier in the series before Scott started planning anything, and it's probably from still early enough in the series that he didn't feel bad about retconning something. Like, he probably, by the time of Sister Location, was against the idea of retconning, as he says in that post. But in FNaF 3, there's a very distinct and definite point made that the safe rooms are off camera and that they're not on the security grid. And part of what that newspaper says got the killer caught was that they were seen on camera luring children to a back room. So I was thinking about it. I was like, is there any other reason beyond the safe room not being present in FNAF 1 to specifically mention that it's off camera and it shouldn't be mentioned to family or friends? Don't tell anyone about it, and then they close it up after the MCI. I was just thinking if perhaps that was Scott saying, hey, he couldn't have been caught the way I said he was in the first game because there isn't enough proof now because I've changed it so that it can't be true. He can't be caught on camera because he, I know he could be caught down at another end of the restaurant or whatever, but I think it's just interesting that where the kids were killed. Yeah, and that it's like he chose to put the kids in that room. He could have just like had them get killed in the party room or in Pirates Cove or anywhere. But like he could have had them killed in Parts and Service. But he specifically creates a new room that's off camera so that they can't be caught on camera.
I had interpreted the line in FNAF 3 as meaning the room itself was not in on the cameras.
Yeah,
the room itself
the
door was not on
Well,
the camera.
you could still see him luring them in the hallway.
But I do think it's possible that the cameras still caught William taking kids into the back of this out into the employees only areas of the building. But yeah,
you definitely could have.
Well,
that,
yeah,
but
because
I just
ultimately
thought it was interesting to specify that anyway, because it's like who cares? Like, who cares
there
if it's
was
off camera?
even in FNAF 1 there was no camera in the room specifically because no one caught on camera him doing the murdering.
It's the bathroom hallway cam is facing away from the safe room, but you could still see someone go that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
you
that's
saw the main party room camera, which is directly in the center of everything. So we get a lot viewed there.
That's the thing. It's just logically, even if we say that's not part of it, it's like, okay, so we see a guy, he enters the building, he goes into the back room, a yellow bunny comes out, then kids go into the back room, the yellow bunny disappears and a man comes out. It's like, I don't know how in any state, in any country, in any world that's like ours, that wouldn't at least lead to some sort of some sort of charge that would actually be convictable. Like, whether it's kidnapping or whatever, it's like you were the last person seen with
proof
5
that
children.
the kids didn't take some other route and go some other way.
I mean,
you can't prove anything in a court of law.
They dug out with a spoon.
Because the thing is, the reasoning they typically give is the bodies were never found, therefore the murder charges wouldn't stick.
Kidnapping.
Yeah, but
nothing was ever proven
that's
in
what
a
we're
court of
told.
law.
Yeah, but that's what we mean. It's like
Nothing was proven. It doesn't mean people weren't aware. People knew, but that doesn't mean it was proven technically.
Yes.
Also,
Yeah,
I
people
still
knew,
think
but the
the
cops couldn't do
retcon is
anything.
just save him changing to save her.
But
I just
Oh,
think that's
no, I
just-
disagree.
Seamless.
That is timing.
Yeah, the reason I don't think that is partially because it wouldn't be pretty seamless, but also Scott made his statement about the retcon before Pizzeria Simulator came out.
Oh yeah.
And from what he said, from what he said, it implies that at this point, and he mentions that and no one seems to have noticed it, so it's probably fine. And at that point, we didn't know that Charlie was the puppet spirit. So I don't think.
When did he make the statement?
2 months
September
before
2017.
Pizzeria Simulator came out. So Pizza Sim was not out. So we could not have
Sorry,
known
everyone
that
answered
Charlie
it
was
once
in
and
the
I didn't
puppet.
get an answer.
It came out a few months before Pizzeria Simulator came out.
Okay.
So for
And
him to
that's
say
the game
no
where we
one,
find out that Charlie was in the puppet.
September 4th, 2017.
Yes, it came up a month before. So,
I guess
anyway.
my counterpoint is the Silver Eyes came out in
The
2015.
Silver Eyes
that
did
didn't
come out,
technically-
but
Oh, yeah.
would there have been any way to know that Charlie was the spirit in the puppet?
No, but I do think that it shows Scott had already been working on this adjusted version of the story since then.
yeah, but no one
It does,
noticed it.
but his
I-
statement
said
also
no one
implies
noticed,
that
or most of
it was
them.
possible for people to have noticed it, and he said he hadn't seen it causing any problems, which implies it could have had the potential to cause problems, given it would be something that people could find. The way I explained the him to her situation, and sorry if I sound sarcastic, that's probably mostly me being sick. But the way I interpret it is because the puppet canonically is he/him pronouns.
That's fair.
And there's points in the story, and if Cassidy is a she, but the one you should not have killed, if that is Cassidy is referred to as a he as well, but Golden Freddy is a he. So to me, that sort of is a consistent thing where the characters, the spirits themselves are referred to as the animatronics they possess because the identities overlap so much at this point.
Okay.
And by
Would
the time, and when we're
seamless...
seeing the save him minigame, it's already happened. Charlie is already in the puppet, which means like as we're seeing the minigame, the him pronouns already apply.
Yeah.
Fair.
I
Would
don't
we
think it's
see
the retcon.
would the seamless retcon also just be shifting from Dream Theory to Sister Location then?
I don't think
I
there's
think
any
reason
the
why
retcon means it
we
has to be
didn't
said.
think
It has
that-
to be said. Yes, this was something that happened, and then he has to change it. Otherwise, it's not a retcon. He has to be like, yes, this. Scott never confirmed Dream Theory.
I also there was nothing
like the
seamless
mangled
about
players.
Dream Theory.
I
to be
agree.
honest.
He never directly came out and said this is Dream Theory, but I will take to my grave that when he was making FNAF 4, he was like, and it was all a dream, and then he released it and went,
I don't
oh,
think
you
so.
guys don't like that, and then started working on
I-
Sister Location.
Even if
I
that's
could
true,
not
though,
disagree more.
Even if that's true, though, Scott specifically says it was like a seamless transition, and there was nothing seamless.
I just
about
think he's
Dream
cocky.
Theory.
I just think he's cocky.
So my
Here's the
favorite
thing, though,
version
right?
of retcon,
That
right or wrong, is so this is what I point out in a recent video that there's the girl in the playground who has the broken set of toys.
Oh no.
And the only other broken toy, and it's one that would match this set, would be the mangle toy in the girl's bedroom. Right? She's the only one who breaks toys. It's specifically called out as being referenced to the toy animatronics by Scott. Why would the tiny toy Chica be missing her beak? A detail that links to toy Chica who loses her beak. And it's Mangle who is connected to the toy animatronics, and there's no sister location at this point in time, so that's the only connection
Arcade theory.
made.
Arcade theory. Arcade.
So
And she has an outfit that, minus some details, is Elizabeth's outfit almost one-to-one. The only real change to her design is her hair and eye color, which would be a hypothetical retcon. Because you already designed Baby, who always had green eyes in her art, and we see in the development making screen.
So I thought that
And originally, Baby had brown hair in her model or whatever.
Yeah.
I have a different take on that.
Can I come
yeah.
out here with a crack theory
Go off.
Yeah.
that lives in the back of my head? So the empty girls room in FNAF 4. What if the original story was supposed to be that something happened to the sister, and that's
And
what
she's
Crying
the-
Child
The
saw?
doll.
And
Yes,
so
yes,
then,
yes.
So then, okay, so the crying child sees whatever happens to the sister, and the reason that Michael has like all the haunting dreams, and the FNAF 4 character can stay the same is because, like he murked crying child, but something happens to crying child, and that's why the girl's room is not crying. Something happens to her. She becomes the puppet,
Yes.
and then the puppet is the one that guides him to Happiest Day. So originally, it was supposed to be that's where Sammy and Charlie came from.
Yes,
is it
yes,
like a
yes,
Sammy
yes, yes.
Charlie thing. So the reason that the girl's room was empty was originally it was supposed to be a Sammy Charlie, but inverted because they came out in the same year. They both came
Yes.
out in 2015. So it was an inverted Sammy Charlie to be a parallel to the books. I've been sleeping on this theory for so
I've been writing a script right now. I'm writing a script of
my
exactly
only-
that idea. I have one more piece of evidence, if I may, just before you
Yes,
debunk it.
I literally didn't pull. I'm literally cooking. Like that was just off the top of my head.
So okay, I was trying to think of why would so I was on the Sire Squawks thing about the girl outside with the toys. I think it's a really strong connection. It could be really good evidence. My only question would be why would you introduce a sister character who's nobody, just like standing on the street? And the other thing
I have
is,
an answer for that.
I was
Oh,
trying.
shit.
You could. I'll just say this other one first.
Stock battle.
So I was trying to think why would you put a Funtime Foxy Mangle specifically toy into the girl's bedroom? And then I was looking back on Mangle in FNAF 2.
Oh no.
The first thing that we're told about the Mangle is that they are a take apart, put back together attraction.
Dun, dun,
And
dun.
what does the Fredbear
words.
say at the end of FNAF
that was
4?
literally-
I will
that's
put
the
you
number
back
one-
together.
Oh.
So my
It's
minor
like they
criticism,
play with a Mangle toy.
is the crying child's fears are of the animatronics through that whole like that his sister is his fear or response. So they'd have to be unrelated, which is a little weird. But for the sister point, the point of having her there is to justify the Mangle toy and all that being there. Because yeah, you could have Mike take apart his toys and all that, but we need Mangle to be there for the Happiest Day connections because that's part of what all those toys do.
Right. Okay.
So we would have to have one character who does that. So might as well, hey, if we do end up doing another game, we can do something with her, or at the very least,
I would just wonder
a room to show that.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I would just wonder why they wouldn't just give her the toy there.
Riddle me this. So, you know how there's the suspicious wires, question mark, hair, question mark, whatever you want to say in the suit? Scared of the animatronics because the quote animatronic ate the sister, reference to baby and how that gets evolved. But the Charlie Sammy thing, Sammy was kidnapped from a closet and Crying Child is locked in the closet and has the hair or whatever sticking out. I really think that there was somehow a Charlie Sammy pseudo plot line that was gonna fit into the games and be the Happiest Day thing. And then the second everybody hated the Dream Theory stuff, it just absolutely cracked. But I think that was the
fun crackhead note for that.
I also think
crackhead note for that.
That also works as to why Crying Child is dressed in black and white and talking to the Fredbear plush. There's a reason then why he is taking the form of a puppet, and it's not to show that he's becoming the puppet. It's to put them as like a mirror to one another. The Fredbear plush is his sister, who is the puppet, and he looks like the sister, who's so they look like each other because he eventually becomes Golden Freddy and she becomes the puppet. Yeah, they just look like each other because they're twins.
One thing, because
like there's the Michael. There's the Michael Elizabeth character foils where Elizabeth wants to do her dad's good and Michael realizes through time. Like, so there's that character, like Michael and Elizabeth are absolutely character foils of each other, and I will die on that hill. So I think that's where it started off, was Crying Child, other sister, and then it turned into Crying Child was more just a byproduct of William's stupidity. The real sibling foils are Elizabeth and Michael.
Have we considered Michael likes pink?
Exactly. That's Michael's room.
It's a Foxy variant in the room. What if Michael just likes pink?
Hey,
I would
No, Michael.
I think it's Michael's bedroom. Like, unironically, I think it's Michael's bedroom.
Could be. Oh, we're dumb. We're all stupid. We're all dumb idiots. We're all actually idiots. Look at my stream. There's a door right there. That's Michael's room. Next to the TV.
Well, I think...
Yeah.
And
wait, that's the outside. Oh, is it the backyard? Oh,
what did you connect?
There's a door. There's a secret door.
God. Tell us why we're dumb.
By the TV. By the am I live?
Okay, give us 7 seconds.
There's a secret door by the TV.
What?
What's the lore?
Am I lagging?
That's the kitchen. Oh, that's the living room.
No, there's a door by the living. Like the living room.
The kitchen
to the
is
left.
in the building.
Yeah, there is a spare bedroom.
No, you're not lagging.
Oh, I'm just an idiot.
Oh, that one. Yeah, yeah, that's me.
All right. Well,
that could also just be the dad's room.
Williams, you mean?
Like, there's a lot of rooms on account of that. Yeah.
I forgot to make brownies.
Anyway, while I'm here,
are we assuming that the Midnight Motorist house is a living room and a bedroom and nothing else?
Fair point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's gotta have
there are
more.
things we will never see here because it would be stupid to draw the whole thing out.
Boom.
And there could be multiple rooms off to the side. We don't know how much of the house
That's
we're
true.
not seeing in this layout.
You go
Or it's
left.
just a fake
Well, you
nightmare
see, the house
chamber.
is just this because all of this is FNAF 4 Nightmare Gas testing chambers, and he only built
Yeah.
the necessary rooms.
I mean, he does
Yeah,
have this
how does
entire
that- how
neighborhood
did-
on watch.
that's-
This entire neighborhood is on watch. So
as a follow-up question, if we think that this house is like built in the experiment chambers, is that like implying that what happens in the FNAF 4 minigames didn't happen? It happened in chambers, or is it just saying that he recreated it perfectly? But I just wonder, like, does he have like a fake rope?
Chambers.
I do like the idea that he recreated it, not
Truman
perfectly,
Show.
but he just recreated the scenario in Chambers, and then when Henry goes to build FNAF 6, he's like, well, I've got Chambers, let me just take down some of these decorations.
Actually, that does go to the question about the by victim in the nightmare chambers. If his death week is something that's already been integrated, it's kind of weird. How does he know it's going to happen?
Gibby,
Why is that?
talk about FNAF 4.
Layout so important.
Okay.
Oh.
I think I
It
view.
sounded like you had a gun to his head. Talk about
Maybe
Talk about
better
it.
The
talk.
chat's been begging for it. I think people know it's going to kind of derail the discussion just because I think
Yeah.
the minigames are a lot more interpretist and symbolic than a lot of other people take them.
Yeah,
Like,
so-
obviously, I think we all just agreed that the house isn't just 3 rooms and it's not obviously the size of the
Yeah.
entire neighborhood.
Liar.
But I think it's even more symbolic than that. Like, I don't think that the talking Fredbear plush in FNAF 4 is a thing that, like, even technically exists. Like, I don't think that when Dave's walking down the street, he sees it in the storm drain or in the flower, or it's even there, like, at all. Like, we don't even know necessarily if their house is next door to Fredbear's. That could just be showing that it's nearby. Like, I just think the games are very, very, very symbolic.
Of?
That's fair. How would you link that to Happiest Day then? With the or sorry, not Happiest Day, FNAF 4 with the spooky eyes.
With the spooky eyes?
Yeah.
So FNAF World, anything in the games that is a game, I think I compare it to like Wreck-It Ralph, where I'm like they sort of exist in a spiritual way,
Arcade
which
theory.
is why
Yep.
Shadow Bonnie can go from like one Happiest Day minigame to the other, because they're sort of like combined somewhere spiritually. He can glitch from one to the other, and so that's how characters in FNAF World, the line is everything out there is infected here, but then at the same time you set up Happiest Day in FNAF World. And so it's sort of like that's like the ghost world over there.
Yeah.
I personally
Right.
think I think the Fredbear plush in Sister Location, when you go into the side room and you see the bear sitting there and he has glowing eyes, I think the plush is possessed by Dave. He dies in bed holding the plush, and he's kind of like possessing that the way that Charlie possesses her little doll in the books and the silver eyes. And so like the identity of the bear in the FNAF 4 minigames doesn't really matter because it's just symbolic, as opposed to like Charlie is the bear speaking to Dave, or his sister is the bear speaking to Dave. I just don't think that really matters.
When you mentioned the silver eyes, isn't it technically the case where, like, Charlie didn't possess the doll, but Henry
he
spent so
cried,
much time with the doll? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
It was
trying to
like
like
it
mentally
was
store it.
literally like one of the first forms of like an agony being,
Yeah.
like in some type of.
I mean, you could look at it then with it being in William's office. You could have something maybe similar going on there with I know that kind of implies will care. Don't kill me, but you know what I mean, like that he's holding on to it for sentimental reasons.
I think. I mean, but Elizabeth
We're not
was
doing
the
will care.
I tracked William under like the narcissistic parent kind of character profile.
I'd say so.
And we know Elizabeth was the golden child and Michael was the scapegoat. So for all intents and purposes, shouldn't the crying child have been in like the quote the invisible kid? Or maybe was it that crying child was the golden child and when Michael killed him, that's what made him like extra scapegoaty?
I just think William was kind of a bad guy.
But he can be a bad guy and also have like conflicting, like multiple feelings about multiple people. I'm not saying he was a good dad or anything like that, but he can have reactions to things.
I don't know what you're talking about. I thought he won Dad of the Year in 1983.
No, I fully agree. I'm not a will care. I get it, but like the reactions some people have when will care is brought up is crazy to me. Because like you'll be like, oh yeah, William is a terrible, awful dude and a terrible dad, but he might, in his own sickly way, care about his children, and people will be like, so you think abusers are good fathers? It's like, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
exactly.
someone is projecting.
He can be a bad guy and also have kids that he
We'll just be it'll be a narcissistic attachment rather than actual love.
Yeah, it's almost
like these are my
Yeah.
kids.
Like a real
Oh,
It's almost like people are complex
Mine.
and don't make sense.
true.
It's almost like William's a psychopath, and trying to analyze him to a rational, healthy family
Yeah.
does not map very well.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna give us a choice.
My cough is getting worse, and now I'm shivering a ton. So I think I'm gonna go now.
That's fine. Yep.
It was nice talking to you guys.
You
Sorry
take
to dip
care.
early.
No, you're good.
It's okay.
Have a good
Feel
rest of the
better.
stream.
Thanks so much for
Bye.
being
New
here.
ID.
We'll
Bye.
be wrapping up soon anyway.
Bye.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap
For
up soon
today's
anyway.
stream, ID's fantasy stood for illness debuffed fantasy.
True.
Catch one last stray on the way out.
For the last topic, I
One
will
last
throw it up.
stray, yeah.
I will give it I'll put it up in the air. Would we rather talk about the books or Midnight Motorist?
Oh.
Midnight Motorist.
Midnight
Midnight
Motorist.
Motorist, anything other than the books. I've talked about
Yeah,
this enough.
let's
Don't
talk-
wanna
What
Midnight
about
Motorist.
how the books
Let's talk
inform
about
Midnight
some
Motorist?
dice.
Hey,
Oh
thank
my
you,
I
Terminal
could
Error.
spread my gospel about Fright's games or Stitch on games and Tails games or
Alright.
whatever.
I'll let
Let's do
underscore
Midnight
start.
Motorist.
Underscore, you can start Midnight Motorist.
Midnight Motorist. Well,
I want to record
let's talk
this
about
on
that.
OBS.
Go ahead.
No, you can start.
Let's talk about that one game recently that might have done some crazy stuff for Midnight Motorist.
Oh no.
It's called 5 Laps at Freddy's, and it
Gibby loves that game.
some really interesting stuff with its one map. Specifically, it did 2 little things. It said, hey, here's the Midnight Motorist car. It has a little Spring Bonnie bauble on it. Maybe it's William, I don't know. And then it also said in a bunch of its files, looks like you're running from the scene of a crime.
I will just die on the hill that if you think that Midnight Motor is anybody other than William, that you might.
Civil debate.
No offense.
It's
might
civil
not
debate.
have
at this
some
point.
Critical thinking skills.
Oh,
because of
long
Green
Ow,
Afton.
lo-
Oh,
Gibby,
I mean,
was,
long
I was
story
gonna
short,
say,
it seems
Gibby.
confirmed.
Yeah, no, that would be me.
Uh-oh.
You roasted
I am,
him.
in fact, 100% in the camp that it's not William.
I was
and
against it being
Green
William
Afton.
before Flash.
my-
but-
I want to
my
hear. I want to hear him
Falafel-
out. I want to hear him out.
I don't think that the guys making Falaf have a lot of insight into Scott's intentions. He said that he didn't talk to the people making the Into the Pit game for over a year. He had all those problems talking to Steel Wool
Roblox
when they
game.
were making Security Breach. And yeah, the Roblox game, like all that. There's a lot of communication. And the fact is, if you're the studio making 5 Laps at Freddy's and you open the encyclopedia and you flip to the page on Midnight Motorist and it's like, oh, some people believe that it is William driving here and doing this, which it does say in that official FNaF book. It also has the alternative theory where it's just the father of an MCI victim. But if you're the studio making it and you have an official FNaF book, you might be like, oh, that's canon, that's what's going on, and you put it into your unreleased beta demo thing, and that's kind of what I think happened. I just don't think that they have direct line to Scott learning the lore because the other studios did
I'll
not.
give you that. I really
Well-
like that. That is a very good point.
My only response is that FLAF is very much after, it's several years after Security Breach, where Scott claims to have learned his lesson.
It's also after Help Wanted 2 when they very clearly got their game together.
I would.
You would also.
And it also has
I will
the
say-
Marie
You would also-
Easter egg now.
They do know the lore. They have Edwin Murray in there.
however,
You would
there was
really
one big
think
problem.
if that stuff was
There's-
issues that it would be removed by now anyways.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's
There's
what
a
I was gonna
problem
say, is
with
I feel
that,
like
though.
Scott, as shoddy as some of the quality assurances on some FNAF products, he does seem to have a hard line about what he does and doesn't necessarily allow. And with it being an anniversary release, as buggy as it might have been, or as kind of not polished because it was a beta, I feel like something to that degree would have been caught on his level. I will say as well, I don't think that all the evidence only comes from the Spring Bonnie bobblehead. The car in Midnight Motorist has tire covers on the ends, and it's the only car in the whole game, in the mini game section, that has those. And the sprite in FNAF 2 in the Save Him mini game has those same covers over the wheels. Obviously, it's purple, and I think it's also narratively. We have a game about Charlie. We have a game about the MCI with Fruity Maze, and then we have this other mini game which we're not all really sure what it's about. But if it was going to be another game about a different MCI victim, I would just wonder what the relevance of that would be, especially to getting the full Lore Keeper ending. I feel like it would be strange to just give us this new character with new locations in a new setting that we don't get any really extra insight into, other than one of the victims of the MCI to be Aftons, especially with all the juniors and the mound. It's like, if none of those things are related to the character we're playing as, it feels a little bit strange.
I
do agree.
I don't know why that doesn't apply to the Fruity Maze Susie minigame. That's just an instance where we sort of see how William got one of his victims. She's
We're
upset
back,
by the
Chad,
dead
don't worry.
dog. He walks over, lures her to the back. This would be the case where this kid has a bad home life. His dad is, a drunk who speeds and probably, beats him or something. And he looks out his window and he sees his favorite FNaF character. Oh my God, it's Spring Bonnie. He's there out his window. Come with me to Freddy's. His dad sees that the window's broken and goes, oh, he went back to that place again, his favorite place where he escapes my abuse, Freddy's. And that's one of the ways that William got one of the 5 victims. And it lines up so perfectly with one of Toy Chica's high school year scenes, where she's like, I'm going to go to his house. I'm going to break a window.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I think I would just argue that Susie's Fruity Maze minigame is a lot simpler and is a lot more straightforward. And I would then argue that it would be redundant to have 2 minigames showing us essentially the same thing. I feel like Midnight Motors are supposed to be telling us a new piece of information rather than being about. I will agree that the Toy high school years is good.
So the security puppet minigame. The security puppet minigame doesn't really tell us much more than save him in FNAF 2. Like, that's just kind of retreading.
Yeah, I wonder why it's even there.
It's giving us new information.
That's a girl. I
Yeah,
guess.
it's just
I would argue it's because the Charlie retcon.
It's a different game, right? It's FNAF 6 as a whole having a minigame for each person, not like never in this series before, right? Where it's like we have the minigame here, minigame here, minigame here. I would say with the Toy Chica thing, I agree, and that is really good evidence. I guess I would just bring up the counter evidence of like, it's raining, the suits, do they function in the rain? And like every other time in the series, it's been, a child gets led into a back room during an active day at Freddy's. The only time we get this hint of William going to a child's house to kidnap them is this idea of Midnight Motorist, if that is what's happening here. And it's like, it seems really different from his methodology. It seems like, I don't know, it felt like up until that point, these are crimes of opportunity. It's, I just need a body who's nearby. So it seems weird to go out of his way to kidnap a specific child.
He seems a lot less rational than people think. I think some people think that this is like a plan. I think that the MCI was like a heat of the moment idea. Like,
well, how many days do we think the MCI took place over? Because we know that two of the kids were lured to the back on the same day, which was the day before he was caught. So that was the 26th or whatever. But how many days do we think between the first disappearance and then the last one where he gets caught?
I think it was over a week.
No, they all happen on the same night.
You know what?
I'd bet it all happened on the same night. The newspapers are just slow.
In Toy Chica the high school years.
Okay, no.
The different lighting. 2 of the Toy Chica high school years nights have different lighting on them.
Yeah.
That is odd.
It also it's the second article that says 5 disappearances have now been tied to Freddy's, whereas the first one just had 2 kids were lured to the back. So I always kind of interpreted that as 2 of them were on that last night and the other 3 were prior, at least by a day.
The way I kind of interpreted that was just like the way news works, in the idea of like we had footage of 2 missing child incidents. So it's like, okay, we're looking for these 2 missing kids, and then like a few days later, some other missing persons reports get linked back because we didn't have the footage or evidence of them being lured, but like, well, 3 more kids are missing and they were known to go there, so now we're linking it to this case.
It's just the newspapers being slow about knowing what's the truth.
Well, to me, that just
like in
kind
real
of
life.
makes me. It just makes me think that those 3 disappearances didn't physically happen in the Freddy's building,
which is fair. Like that's a fair interpretation. It's just that's where I would disagree.
Yeah.
No,
I think
I disagree.
I'm totally okay with them happening.
That's not how missing people cases work. Because when you have a missing person case, if there's several people involved, the first people like start reporting that, oh, my family member has gone missing, and so they got those first 2 reports and they tied them to Freddy's, and they said, oh, okay, 2 kids went missing. But then as time went by, 3 more families reported that their kids also went missing, and that incident was tied to Freddy's. And when those 3 like showed up and reported like the kids that went missing, the newspapers updated their story. I don't think it was a separate nights thing.
The newspaper even says now
3 more
linked to an
children.
incident on June 26th.
I think the wording.
Oh,
wording
wait.
is-
So that's the fifth one, right? The one that says 5 kids now linked to specific incident on specifically June 26th.
Yeah, it just there's no newspaper that gives any other date other than June 26th.
I mean,
Me
then
being a fake
wording-
fan,
that's 5 kids on June 26th.
me being a fake
Well,
fan,
you
I
could-
forgot that a date was mentioned in any of those newspaper
I
articles.
did not know.
Seriously?
I totally
Oh
forgot.
my
You
that.
can-
Oh, real.
This is the first time I'm hearing of this, and I've read those several times.
It's June 26th.
You can argue
June-
about the wording of it because you could say it's linked to the incident that we already talked about before, the one
Yes.
that happened on June 26th with the two. And I'm totally fine with them all happening spread out. I don't necessarily think they all have to happen on one night. But my only thing would be that Follow Me being about the kids being lured back to the safe room and all being dismantled there, and then Henry saying he lured them all back to a familiar place, back with familiar tricks. That to me would imply that also like the revenge that they get on him by putting him into the spring bunny suit is sort of like a dramatic, no, not dramatic irony, like it's his comeuppance occurs in the place that he killed them all. I think it's totally reasonable and fair to say that they happen over multiple nights, or even that some kids were taken to Freddy's, but I think they all had to have happened in the back room in Freddy's, whether or not it was all in the one night.
Oh, I certainly
Yeah,
think he
because-
killed them all in that room.
Yeah.
I will say it specifically says the incident singular.
Yeah, but linking
As I pulled
to
up the
the
actual
Okay, it says the
yeah, but
incident.
linking to
Incident
the
singular, I
incident.
wouldn't say is strong evidence either way, because like it's
Yeah.
something that can happen over multiple days. If it's the same thing, it's still one incident.
Yeah,
It's still the
like,
missing children's incident, but it could happen over a span of stuff. Like it could be that like the first one. I'm
You
trying
know
to
what?
think.
Speaking of what you have pulled up on stream right now, the mimic only has one secret.
And what's that?
it's the
We'll have to
retcon.
figure out.
The
Yeah.
retcon.
We'll have to figure out
retcon.
on June
So-
6th, 2025, or whatever the fuck.
April
Is that the
So,
date?
1st. I don't know.
here's a
It-
question.
It's not confirmed, but it was
Yeah.
4625, so
April 1st.
people were like release date, which like fair.
I mean, what else is it supposed
So
to be?
here's the question.
I think
My
with
only
you see-
hesitation
you
is that's
found
a
something
Sunday,
interesting
and
about
that's
that.
super weird for a FNAF game.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think
It
with
is.
See,
you found an interesting piece of information about that particular number, didn't you?
Me.
About, like what it relates
Oh
to.
yes, it was me. It's the 4625 thing that it could be the release date,
Yeah.
but I changed my mind since then. I don't think it's the release date anymore. I think it's the date of the trailer, of the main trailer that's gonna
Oh,
give
so
us
we gotta
the
wait.
reason.
We
That
gotta
makes
wait
sense.
forever.
Isn't it also the founding of
Just the
Fazbear
purple god.
Entertainment?
Yeah, it was
Son.
founding of
What?
Fazbear Entertainment or something
April
like that. Someone
6th,
said that.
79.
It was.
It shows in the FNAF movie.
I forgot. I
Wait,
forgot. I
wait,
forgot to tell you this.
wait.
Let me explain.
wait,
Let me
wait.
explain.
When's that
Let me explain. Let me explain. So, in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, when Mike Schmidt beats up the guy, at the beginning of the movie in the mall, when he goes to like, legal stuff after beating up the guy, the interrogation, whatever. The date that happens is 4/6/2000. 4/6.
Oh, when
Keep that
he's
number
when
in
he's
mind.
at Matthew, or it's not Matthew Laird's. When he's at
Yeah, yeah,
Steve
yeah.
Raglan's office.
Steve Raglan.
But 2-5.
You're telling me that
Mhm.
is that is
Date?
4/6/20 or 2000.
Yes. Now,
Whoa.
Interesting.
in a document that we can see in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, Fazbear Entertainment is stated to have been founded in 4/6/79. And now in
What the
Secret of the
heck?
Mimic, we see 4/6/25. 4/6 is American dating system. Give me a second.
April.
The
April
6th
April
of
6th.
April. The 6th of April, which is the day that Fazbear Entertainment was founded in 1979, which is when Secret of the Mimic takes place, which means
How
that
do we
we
know
are
this?
getting something major on that day in the real
Well,
world.
trailer-
or
okay,
that
okay.
is when Secret
Trailer
of the
says
Mimic can happen.
1979.
You
Yeah.
would definitely have Fazbear Entertainment founded, like, okay, if you look at the plot of The Mimic, and I know that jumps into books, if you
Yay.
think that plot actually happens in I got one guy saying yay. Anyways, if you think that actually happens in any semblance in the games, which I would implore you to do, you're going to have Fazbear at least founded before 78, and probably quite
That's
a
fair.
bit before that. So, you know what? I like your idea that 4/6 is the founding date. What year? Who knows? Sometime before 78, or sometime sometime definitely before 78. But that's cool. I did not know any of that.
That is interesting. It's actually.
I'm hesitant to say that the Secret of the Mimic definitely takes place in 1979 because apparently there's like classic costumes in the demo, right? Or
I
there's
was
like
I the
a
only
coming
person here that
soon
was at
poster.
PAX?
Yeah, I think ID's
Oh,
I know
well,
several
ID's
people
was
that
too,
were
but
that have spoken to me personally.
I didn't even make videos when the.
We are gonna try to go next year.
all right, I want to see all y'all pulling up.
Yeah.
I'll do my best.
Well,
I
and
went to Help Wanted 2's PAX.
well, anyways, what were you wondering from the demo or something?
Sorry, it was that there was like an early coming soon poster for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
It is. You can picture the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza from. I think it's unused in Security Breach, but it's from the Security Breach files. That poster, it is grayed out and it has big "coming soon" in red text over it.
See,
And
that's
according
weird to
to
me if it takes place in '79 because like it opens in '83. We know that for a fact because of the help.
that's not
tokens.
soon. That's so funny. That is definitely not
Yeah,
soon.
that's what I mean. It's 4 years away. Like that's why I would think it might take place later. And '79 is important to the secret of the mimic.
Yeah, maybe the secret is in '79.
I mean,
the gameplay's in '83.
You could have a bunch of crap happen at the factory that's unfortunate enough to delay Freddy's opening, like maybe, but that's just a prediction. Like Mimic tears up a bunch of Freddy's animatronics, they can't open for a few years, maybe.
Yeah, I suppose you could also argue that like that's why there's like a lot of Freddy Fazbear's merch, but there's no restaurant in FNAF 4.
Yeah.
All right, now that we're on this, to wrap up the stream, why don't we all give our thoughts, predictions, hopes for Secret of the Mimic? And I'll let Narrow Raven start. I'll let Raven start, and then we'll go from top to bottom or something. I don't know. Raven, go ahead.
Ooh boy. So okay, what I'm hoping that we get out of Secret of the Mimic is obviously like a full-fledged answer with like the connection with Tiger Rock, Mimic, all that in the games itself, as well as any further like appearances of maybe other characters that would be connected to the Mimic from the books if we are getting anything with like David, Edwin, or really anyone else, in a way of connecting that to like the whole Fazbear Entertainment thing. And I also want something to do with Cassie's father with the Bonnie mask. I am hoping for something with that. And I'm also hoping for something with the gifts and the mask, because I did see someone point out that it is interesting you can get gifts and masks at this location, which if you think about it, you give gifts and the gifts. So I'm hoping we get maybe an answer as to why William did what he did later on.
Which is like an origin story kind of thing.
Stuff. That's why I'm kind of thinking origin story, kind of for like everything.
That would be interesting. I don't know if Scott would have like the. I don't think he'll ever give us too much information about why Afton operates the way he does. I don't think we'll ever get. Like, when I was a child, I went to a singing bear show. Sorry, Matt.
When I was a child,
Afton daddy issues.
Yo, that's
Midnight
crazy.
Motorist flashback.
All right, Jojo, how about you?
Oh no. Oh, about William?
No. Just Secret of the Mimic.
How about Secrets of the Mimic?
Hopes, dreams.
Oh
no.
I'm kind of scared for Secret of the Mimic. I'm gonna be so honest. This is either going to solve a lot of problems or create a whole lot of new problems.
Bit of both.
So I'm hoping it'll give us answers as to like why they made the writing decisions they did. I just like concerned if they do it like in the quote incorrect manner that it might mess things up, because right now they really did a good job of damage control with Security Breach, and I really enjoy the way they've taken the story and taken what was a hodgepodge of lore tidbits and like forward pushed it in Ruin and Help Wanted 2. But I'm very worried that they're going to introduce the Mimic and it's going to be like how many of you guys have seen Steven Universe?
Like a few episodes.
Nope.
I watched a decent amount of it.
They had a good song in there.
I have not at all.
Can I spoil something from the movie?
Yeah, go off.
Chad, if you're a big Steven Universe fan, mute, I guess.
If you haven't seen the movie, leave now. But basically, like one big thing that they do is they introduce this character named Spinel, and it turns out she had just been like trapped for like 6,000 years on a planet, and Steven's mom had just like left her there. And so it was basically like this hindsight of, oh my god, she was just sitting there by herself the entire time. for like 6,000 years. And so I'm really scared what they're gonna do is basically be like, oh yeah, the mimic's just been boarded up in the back room for the entire timeline. And I'm so
think that's
worried
what
that
it's
they're
gonna
gonna
be.
try and do that instead of
I mean,
be.
so
getting,
was
like,
Henry, realistically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Die on the hill that Harry got.
He was on
William was locked
vacation.
away for 30
Hey,
years.
don't
or
even get me
something.
started on
I
Edwin,
agree.
dude.
I agree.
My name is
Henry went to
Edwin.
jail.
Edwin. All right,
Edwin.
Gibby, how about you, man?
I kind of hope that it sticks to its own lane and it kind of just continues the story and the characters and the narrative that we've been having in the Steel Wool era. Like, I really don't want it to retcon all the earlier Scott games and introduce a character like the Mimic or a character like Edwin to then walk in and be like, I was the most important person the entire time. I think that would feel kind of fake to like long-term fans, especially since like we know that Scott isn't writing every single word of these games. It would kind of feel kind of silly. I hope that the next game we get after this will kind of wrap up the Pizzaplex era. You know, we'll get a conclusion because we got to conclude Gregory, we got to conclude Vanessa, and you know now we have a cliffhanger.
We're not sure if
with,
Cassie's alive or not.
Where do we
Yeah,
even
like
go
Cassie's
after
wherever.
the Mimic, though? Like, what even happens after the Mimic? They don't have another
1,000 years in the
Phase
future or
village.
something.
Phase 3, yeah. So
We
I
gotta
just
look at the other
Yeah,
Freddy.
it would be arc 3.5
Freddy and
if you count.
There's
Space
two-
Fire.
Mrs. Afton comes back.
It's either a reboot or more prequels.
No,
I
go
don't
like
think we can go
1,000
past
years in the
Security Breach.
future.
All right, underscore,
just,
how about
like,
you?
have a
Hey,
soft
Time
reboot.
skip, time skip. Woo!
Underscore.
Fazbear 2099. I
Yep.
wouldn't even mind.
Yeah, give me
Oh, I'd
FNAF
watch
20XX,
Let's
please.
Play / whatever.
But yeah,
who's
I hope that the game after this will conclude that story. So I hope that this one kind of answers a lot of questions we have. So that going into the big finale game, I want this to be like Sister Location, where it gives us all the backstory. We're kind of all ready to go into finale.
I think we'll get a
so
lot of
finale
stuff,
can
yeah.
then be awesome.
I think we'll get a lot of
And
stuff.
I hope so.
I would love
Biggest-
like,
Biggest
try to put
prediction:
a-
I do not think it's going to settle the book discussion at all. I do not think it will move the
Oh,
needle
and
either way.
Most likely not.
Hell
I
no,
think
it
they're
won't.
gonna
I
keep
think-
that ambiguous because
I
that
think
is such a
unless-
huge talking point.
Well, especially now, because if you even remember back to like the Scott wouldn't tell us what the fucking Sister Location suit was.
Yeah,
So
if he
this
does
is a
it,
way
it'll
bigger
be-
debate.
It'll be like on an anniversary interview, way after the books
No,
are
he'll-
no
In
longer
90 years,
relevant.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When the books, no one's asking about them, he's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, you know those books? Here's the answer."
No, he's
Well,
gonna
that
give
was
us a
so
troll
many years
answer
ago.
like
He's
on
going
his
to his
deathbed.
grave with it.
He's gonna give us a troll answer on his deathbed.
I just hope
He's going to make
that
sure his
before he
last words
dies-
are "the books are," and then he dies.
Like that one meme of the frog.
That is correct. Flatline.
Chocolate girl will melt.
I hope that Scott goes through one day, and even if it's not what was currently intended, if he goes, okay, this is where I was originally intended, this is not canon anymore, but this is where I was originally thinking. I wish he would just tell us that. Like, come on, tell us, well, this is what it was originally going to be, not anymore.
Lamau the box.
The box.
Mhm.
I was gonna say-
Yeah, I want
Period.
Scott to tell us what
The
his
box
retcons are.
infuriates me.
I mean, I'm sure it was originally something. I'm sure he had an idea of what was in it, but then he was like, "No, I don't know what's in
But
here."
whatever was in it has
The Foxy
also like
mask.
changed
No,
over
I
the
don't
years.
think it's that he forgot what's in it. I think he just like he
It's just not
doesn't
relevant
see a
anymore.
good way to introduce it, and it's not relevant enough
Anymore,
To
yeah.
Well, no, because on his first interview with Daco, like back when Ultimate Custom came out, he
He did
said
say
that
it changed.
Yeah, he said it changed like multiple times.
I think it
So
always
I think-
the items though. I think it always represented the same thing.
Well,
Yeah, he
point
said the
is,
meaning of the
whatever
items
it
changed,
whatever
but
it
he
is
didn't say-
changed. So it's like he probably doesn't even know what to do with it anymore.
I mean, yeah, that's what.
Because that's back in the last
it's just,
era.
It's just so different from what it was.
Didn't you say back then it was the pieces put together?
You're
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can think
There
about
was
that
some
metaphorically or
solution.
literally. Or
My guess to what happened with the box was it was going to confirm something he couldn't take back and realized he had to walk back a little bit on and retool some. And then the box kept changing. At a certain point, what he had changed to was so far from that original box reveal and what the box even meant. It's like, what's the point anymore? You guys got the bit. You got the gist. Let's move on.
all right. Underscore. What are your hopes?
Dude, so as the other 90s fantasy who left, as the only person who saw or who was actually at the demo, that thing was freaking sick, and I genuinely do hope that it is. We're gonna love it. I think we're gonna love it as a game. I hope the game pacing is great, but it is visually stunning. Okay, but in terms of lore stuff, dude, it won't solve the book debate, no, as if the Tiger plushie in Help 102 didn't already, but it should definitely have some really good stuff for the start of the timeline. I would really hope that you maybe see something about William. Now, someone said they thought they would never elaborate on this. I would at least hope that you would see something about William understanding the mimic, and that is maybe the start of learning about possession, sort of the agony infused into the mimic.
No, that would be cool. I just meant
him.
like why he wants possession in the first place. I don't think he'll have like a motive. I don't think he'll ever get a motive. Context is fine.
Other than that, two big things I'd love to see happen, which I think one of them is out in the wild, and the other could happen. One, let's see the origins of Mexus. Let's see that thing get made in this game.
God, I want to know what it stands
for. Let's see them make Mexus in that game and see the origins of that. But second, as more of my like just hopes and dreams, based on, I think you could pick up some elements from Help Wanted 2, let's see some sister location in an unexpected way.
Oh, I would love that.
Deep underground where memories sleep.
Let's see that elevator used in a lot more than just Princess Quest 4.
Hey, those costumes were underground too.
I think that's what I'm looking forward to. Let's see some interesting stuff.
All right, I'll go. I know Gibby said he does not want them to kind of fuck with the timeline of the previous era. I'm afraid it's gonna happen because Steel will really love that. Oh, guys, we're in security breach. Look, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place. Guys, we're in Help Wanted 2. Look, the elevator from sister location. So I think we are going to see Fredbear somewhere. If it's a secret ending or any of that, I think it's going to happen. I don't think we'll see the FNAF 4 house. I don't think that's ever getting elaborated on more. But I do think that we will see either the actual diner or a lot of like context around it being created.
You know, it'd be cool, even just in passing, if like we just saw a younger version of Michael from 4.
That would be so cool. Like the Foxy mask.
Any in-game models of any of the characters of this goddamn franchise.
An actual Michael
Afton game or something.
If we could have
William Afton 3D model. Ooh.
He's just purple.
Please.
That'd be so stupid.
He's just a purple guy.
He's just the purple.
He just is purple, and they never touch on it, and everyone accepts it.
It's like blocky and everything.
Or like he's always in the shadows, so you never see his face. But you see like a silhouette.
He's always holding one hand outward.
He's completely yellow.
He has a phone.
All right, Rytos, what about you?
Like that was already said, it definitely feels like we're building to a culmination because we have like Help Wanted to introduce Vanessa and Security Breach to introduce Gregory and Ruin to introduce Cassie, Help Wanted 2 to tease some of the Mimic and introduce some of the other aspects of this situation. Secret of the Mimic feels like it's our game to introduce properly the Mimic, right? We got the teaser and Ruin. This is going to teach the like non-book reading game franchise fans, hey, this is what the Mimic is. So my main hope is that the like that was already said, the game after it is the culmination. Everyone's been established, all the pieces have been like set in the stage. Now we can have the show.
Avengers Mimic War.
Exactly. As far as the game itself goes, I just hope it's scary. I really hope it's scary.
You're fighting an uphill battle.
I mean, I can say at least it was scary in VR. Having her chase you was freaky. It was crazy. In flat mode, I'm not sure, but it had some intense moments.
That's another thing. I pray on my knees that it is a just as compelling as an experience in flat mode. Because I think part of the reason why there wasn't as much hype around Help Wanted 2 was not only did it only release in VR, but when flat mode eventually came like 7 months later, it was like, oh, this is a lesser experience.
Yeah.
So
you should definitely hope, based on them co-developing them, that they will have it tuned for both experiences.
Yeah, that gives me hope that it's releasing at the same time, because I do really... it's got to be accessible to non-VR fans.
I sure hope
or else it's just not.
It should be releasing on both at the same time.
And then as far as like lore wise, Oh God, it's just like a blueprint that says what the name of Mexus is, because I'm just gonna lay in the street if we still after 2 games don't know what the
Mexus is
acronym Mexus is.
Surely it's mimic something.
It's like mimic.
I
and, like,
think
X could be, like,
I think
extrapolate.
Shout out
Xeon
my first ruin theory on it,
abstraction
where I
maybe.
said it was marionette experiment enshroudment system.
Oh, hey, you know what?
It's in the puppet's
that
box.
brings up-
It's in the puppet's box.
I mean, hey, that brings up another
I meant
perfect one that
the theme. Sorry, go
they
ahead.
better talk about one thing in this game. They better finally reveal it instead of YouTube baiting the whole time. Where's Nightmarion? What's going on there? You better solve it on this one.
Keep giving us our plushies. No.
Oh yeah, they have been
Fine.
putting that everywhere.
It definitely feels like we're seeing the way Steel Wool does storytelling versus how Scott, because like Scott did storytelling in the original games by like just throwing a bunch of shit at the wall so that like 2 games later he can be like, oh, this is now foreshadowing, and like that's how you tell an ongoing story. That's like just what you do. But it feels like these Steel Wool era games, it's been a bit more planned out, where like there is shit that just doesn't make sense right now because the answers will come later. And God, I hope we get some. Number 1, Nightmarion plushes. Number 2, the 2, 4, 5 tally marks. What the hell are those?
I built the breath, that one as well.
Yeah, there was
that one as well.
So much stuff from Security Breach just never got. I feel like a lot of that was already supposed to be clear by now, but the way it was executed and communicated was not.
I don't think so.
Done well.
I think they specifically, because Scott said like he was telling them to put stuff places, but wasn't saying why. And I think it was specifically like, here, this is gonna blow people's minds 4 or 5 years out
In a few years,
like
could be.
Yeah, like here's something that is not going to make sense, and then like 4 games later, we're gonna go, oh shit, and go back to Security Breach.
Except this time it was actually
That'll be
planned
so
out.
good.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope it happens.
Well, here's one thing
And
that I hope.
decomposing soda, I agree. Sammy CEO confirmation and Secret of the Mimic. That's true.
Let's pray. Let's pray.
All right, Unwithered. Go ahead.
So again, repeating, what other people were saying. I hope that we get some sort of allusion to the early years.
Illusion
think
disc?
I would illusion disc?
Hey.
No, I would love it if this game is its own thing, is about, because it's going to be about the mimic, like I think sometimes we get too excited about it being set so early that we're like, it's going to solve like Midnight Motorist, and it's like, it probably won't, because it's not got anything to do with that. It's narratively.
Yeah, I don't think it'll do that.
But I kind of, what I would love is one answer to something, or even just an appearance from someone like a William or Michael or something, or Bite Victim, and have them on screen or on a phone call or something, giving us an answer and then going away, so that the mimic can't touch it. It can't be that the mimic was the one who did the DCI or something like that. Like, I don't want it to interact with the other lore. I just would like something at this stage. I think it'll be a wasted opportunity if we don't get some sort of like William or Henry or something like that. If we don't get some sort of hints or answers about the past in this time period, it'll feel like a bait. It'll feel like they went, oh, we're going to do this flashback game, and then you get absolutely nothing from it. But I think I don't want the mimic story to actually now be woven into the past, because I don't want to make theories that are like, so in FNAF 4, this mangle toy is because the mimic is actually mimicking the future. I don't want to like
Pink guy is the mimic.
You don't understand. The red dot in the camera is the mimic learning. Every game has a mimic.
This is just the new version of that old theory. I'm just now realizing that mimic one where it's like he was there the whole time, he's the red dot in the camera. That's just the evolution of Ennard was there the whole time, he's the wires in like FNAF 1, 2, and 3.
Ennard
in the buildings. It's just the same thing.
He entered inside of him.
You got Ennard inside of him, dog.
Yeah.
Ennard inside.
I think
this is Purple Guy's son, man.
Purple Guy's son. But yeah, I think gameplay wise,
this
they're obviously going to free roam a game. I would like a more like atmospheric experience. I think Security Breach is really cool, like design wise and like visually. But I think it's not what I find appealing about FNAF. I like the kind of the dingy, the strange, the uncanny. So I think it would be nice to get a little bit more of that like grounded feel back, especially in an environment you can explore. From what I've heard from the demo, it sounds like they might be going in that direction.
I think we'll get
but I
that,
just love like background
definitely.
details. Yeah,
I like the idea
It's
of
it was so fun.
I mean, people have made the Poppy Playtime connection, and like I would like a more Poppy Playtime adjacent FNAF game, to be honest. Something where we're exploring in a more linear based horror established area.
Yeah.
From the sounds of it, that's what Scott wants to do.
Yep.
I sure hope
it's
so.
not like I enjoyed the minigame style of Help Wanted 1 and 2, and I know that's kind of how they had the menu set up. I hope it's not exclusively that. Like I hope it's linear similarly to Ruin was linear
it'll be
and
more
not
like
just
Ruin.
a little.
You know,
I hope.
honestly,
I
I'm gonna
think it
be a
needs to
little
be a bit
sad if
less
there's
linear.
no. I'm gonna be a little sad if there's no like replayable free roam kind of functionality. Like it's cool to have the linear. Ruin did it amazingly, but not having that free roamness at the end, like
Yeah.
Security Breach does take a little bit away from
exploration.
Yeah, I
re-looking
agree.
for
Might be like
things.
might be like a kind of a Soulsborne-y style, like where
But,
you
like-
open up the map as you go.
Yeah,
kind of
I'm
like
like
Security
disappointed
Breach.
if there isn't a classic FNAF mode somewhere in this game. I
We
still
do need a
don't know
night
why
mode.
there wasn't
Office
one in
gameplay.
Security Breach. Like
Yeah,
a
closed
traditional
doors.
office gameplay. Why didn't they do that for Security Breach? Like, yes, there was those
I mean, they
like
tried.
segments, but like
Oh.
I swear, if Security Breach launched with a main menu like survival tab, and you just click that, and it just puts you in one of the rooms, and you just do a FNAF style game in Security Breach's Pizzaplex, that everyone would have loved the game way more when it came out.
Oh, you know the cameras from the demo? There was like 9 cameras in the waiting line. If those cameras became an actual camera night system,
That'd be cool.
that would be cool. You probably know what I'm talking about. I think that's one of the only things that we were able to show from the demo.
Yeah, I saw a picture of that.
Yeah.
Those were some cool cameras. They had shadows in them. Like you could see
Interesting.
shadows of characters, but you couldn't see the
Oh,
character in some of those cameras. So that might
No
be
origin.
interesting.
I have mentioned I do kind of hope it's if I had to pick a game that I would want it to emulate, I kind of hope it would emulate Amnesia: The Bunker. And if anyone hasn't played that game, it's a survival horror game, but the map structure is like you start in the one area and the exit's here, but you need like 5 things to collect to build something to access the exit, and there's one in each of 5 adjoining areas. So you can go to those areas in any order and do what you have to, but then you come back to the center to like your hub to escape. Something similar to that I think would really benefit this style.
Yeah, especially with like the playground that you're in of a warehouse or a factory. Like you have so many interesting ideas and locations. Like you could go to a whole room with just costumes, and there's like one the mimics like getting into different costumes and stuff like that. You could do loads of different stuff with it. So like having the choice to go to whichever one is your favorite first, or like exploring and going, oh, I'll go back to that one later, could be so cool.
We absolutely need an adaptation of like the events in the epilogues of the Tales epilogues, and I don't mean like that. I mean like we need our player to go into a costume room at least once where we don't know which of these costumes, but one of them is the mimic hiding, and we need to play cat and mouse like that because that was one of the coolest things from those epilogues.
I had a script I wrote that was supposed to be what in the book should have been games. And that was the top of the list.
Yep.
GGY.
Yeah, it would make for such cool gameplay.
It's called context.
GGY should have been a like Life is Strange style simple game, just walking around the Plex.
Or a cutscene.
And then the epilogues were like, this should have been a small FNAF game after like Security Breach, maybe. Just like a quick 1 hour, 2 hour experience.
Too gory, Scott would never.
True.
Do you know how quick a big team like Steelwool would be able to get out a classic FNAF style game? Like, I don't know why there's not one of those every year.
That's actually kind of funny. They'd be able to make it so quickly.
I mean,
compared to Scott's like 4 month.
Even
grind.
Scott made him in 4 months. Yeah.
A true remaster of the games.
Man with a Plan, Metroidvania, that would be peak.
Metroidvania.
I was gonna say, how would you FNAF survival horror Metroidvania? Who are you playing as?
Oh,
Metroidvania is one of
The
my
young
favorite
Michael
genre of
Afton,
games.
dude.
He's going around with like a
Metroidvania would
controlled
be
shock.
dream. I love Metroidvanias.
Playing as Mikey
I was
Afton
thinking about
hiding in
this-
the Foxy mask.
Can
dude.
we argue that Security Breach is a Metroidvania?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's
I
like
think
intended
argue that's what's
to
the
be like
case.
that.
On the smallest scale possible, yes.
Yeah, like a really technically a Metroidvania.
Just like there's roguelikes, road lights. This is a Metroidvania light.
It's a Metroid kinda.
How about you, Cryonide? What do you think, Cryo?
What I want from Secrets of the Mimic?
What is his secret?
So my big thing is I want them to try and like not lean too far into like the origins of like William and Henry and all these characters, because if you start introducing like the Mimic into those, it's gonna screw with everything that we've already known, and people are gonna try to fit the Mimic into everything that it doesn't belong in with like the original games. I want it to kind of stick in its own lane. I want it'll get a lot worse. I want Steelbolt to try and finish up their own story, because that's what they've been doing. They've been setting it up for a while. One big thing I want to know how the Mimic ended up getting sealed to where it is in Ruin. Because we really don't know how it got sealed.
Boy, do I have a video for you.
That's what I want to know what ended up happening.
I'm not joking. I'm going to send you my video because it's just that.
Yeah, you can put it in the party room chat. You want?
Oh, goody.
All right. How about Withered Circle?
There's.
Okay. It's kind of just a mixture of what everyone has already said, but first off, the thing I want the most from Secret of the Mimic is answers. Because if that secret doesn't mean anything, it's going to be a bit of a waste. No, I'm genuinely just hoping for like a game that is playable. I like some linear elements, so it's kind of similar to Ruin. I like the direction of Ruin, but I also want a little bit of like elements of the open world that Security Breach had, some of the interactability that you had with the world in both Help Wanted games, kind of just like a mix of everything that Steelwall has gotten right. And if they nail that kind of combination, and if they manage to tie it into the lore, which I feel like they can now that Scott has learned his lesson, if they manage to do all of that, it's going to be a perfect FNAF game. And that's basically, I don't have huge expectations. I know that what I want personally, lore-wise, will probably not appear, and that's fine. I just want a good game in all aspects that will make it a good FNAF game.
Steel has been getting better like every time since Security Breach, though.
Yeah, they've been getting better.
All right, Sire Squawks. Will the Mimic finally confirm Fright's fiction?
He wrote all the books himself. He
mimicked Goosebumps. He mimicked R.L. Stine.
Probably not. Honestly, on the topic of the books and the Mimic, I just want more official art of stuff, because, you know, I do my little fan card game I run in my Discord, and I have to draw so many of the forms of the Mimic. I'm putting them in the call chat, some of the art. I've had to make all of these and either draw or make sprite art of these characters. And I'm like, I like making my art and stuff, but I kind of want some official models of a lot of these concepts and moments.
I love your art, by the way, Squawks. I just
this is hard.
Nice. You should draw my cat.
It goes really hard, yeah.
It's cool.
I'm not joking. Just draw my cat as somebody draw my cat as the Mimic real quick. I need that.
I am endlessly furious that we have graphic novels of all of these Fazbear Frights books, but not one of the epilogues, which are the only fucking important ones.
In that
seriously, I agree. Right.
In that same script about stuff that should have been games, I mentioned that the Stitch Ray Stingers should have been comics. Imagine a comic series covering that arc. It's the perfect pace.
That'd be cool.
Every epilogue is roughly the length of a comic issue.
I'll do it. I'll make it.
Save us.
Actually, I shouldn't accept that. It's my senior year right now, and I have so many projects. I have I have 2 plushie Kickstarters, a hair claw Kickstarter that we're about to relaunch, and then also like my actual senior projects and stuff for my degree. So maybe I should wait until after I graduate.
Come back to this in a couple years, because we do need that.
Get your priorities straight. Drop out of college.
I graduate. I graduate.
Oh yeah.
In a year, and then. Oh yeah, I could do it. I could do it over this. No, I'm doing an internship over this.
Oh.
JoJo's gonna do it. JoJo's gotta gotta do it in between graduating and getting married. There we go. We'll figure it out.
Simply become a NEET and have free time.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm like a year and a half away from being a housewife. I'm so close to being done with adulting. I'm almost free. Me, my cat, my dog, and my 5 Nights at Freddy's. That's all I need.
All right, guys. Well, that's gonna Rytoast. Have you heard of Lefty DCI? Rytoast, Lefty DCI. Have you heard?
Right toast, go for it. Right toast, is lefty DCI time. Right toast.
All roads lead to DCI.
We were
All
talking
roads lead
about
to
like,
Lefty
what do we want to
DCI.
see?
Get someone
the-
spoiled it.
When we were leaning
Wait.
into like, what do we want to hear in Secret of the Mimic? I was sat here for like a solid 8 minutes with a piece of paper and a pen, trying to make 4625 turn into 14 for a bit, and I couldn't.
That's so funny.
Wait,
You say
Just
left
I'm
sure you can do that.
DCI?
He doesn't know what it is. Crying I'd go.
Oh,
refuse.
no. We've been here for 3 hours.
The DCI possessed anything. I refuse to believe the DCI possessed anything.
I gotta finish that video
Watch
soon.
Cryo's video.
Watch the 7
I
hour
have to-
stream.
I have to finish that follow-up video soon, man.
It's very good. I genuinely, even though I'm affiliated with these people, they are definitely not holding me at gunpoint. I highly recommend you watch this video. It is genuinely a
don't
very
have a
good
gun
video,
to
and I
his
think
head.
That's
No,
what someone
I
being
was
held
not-
at gunpoint
I
would
was
say.
I just kind of saw that T-Dread and Cryo were online, and they were like, guys, you're not gonna believe what we made. And then I watched. I was like, this is BS. There's no way. And then I watched the video, and I was like, huh? Hello?
Sounds good.
I'll
Yeah,
put it in
so
that
good.
VC chat.
Genuinely,
Hang
if you
on.
watch it.
There were 14 lefties,
Checked in on Chun for a
but
while.
only
How
one
are we
DCI.
Yeah, 14 theory is
14
something
Yeah,
different
the
from
way
this.
you reached out to me was hilarious.
What did I do?
The way you reached out to me was hilarious.
I sent you a fucking hypnosis emote and went, "You will join my podcast."
His comments got a random UCN video.
I think the rest of you, I
shot your thumbnail is referring to the Vor Fazbear Frights book. That's crazy.
It's not, by the way.
What?
That's an actual line from Lefty.
That's a quote.
That
a
Lefty
quote from
says that
Lefty.
in UCN.
Okay, I did not know that. I forgot.
Don't worry, no for
Makes you
here.
wonder if Willie
No
did a
David
lefty.
Murray getting
But what
forward.
if now?
Lefty Vor.
Every now and then Scott puts something out, and I think of that one meme where it's the Twilight Zone. This episode, the writer's barely disguised fetish. I'm like, why
Oh,
have
man.
Vor so often in your story, Scott?
No, yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Why do so many children turn into things?
that is a recurring
Hey,
theme.
why is every female villain whispering in my ear when I play your video game, Scott?
Everyone watch the fake Fazbear Fright Stories video.
Yeah, well, when's part 2
Hell
to
yeah.
that coming out?
Dude, I gotta lock in to
I-
edit that one because the first one did really good.
In the FNAF
A
2
Husky solved it. 4 times 6 minus 2 times 5 equals 14.
Oh shit!
We got that.
Yes.
Perfect.
Oh my
There it is.
Prepare for the horrors.
in the
that
FNAF
was
2
so
I love how that
Let's
has
go
become a
for the-
meme.
Dude, did you see FNAF Twitter the day we made this?
Yes.
It was
It
just
was
14s
like,
everywhere.
literally-
What the fuck is 14 theory?
Dude, they invested
I am
Rise
so
chat.
happy
my
with it,
14
too. Like,
missing
the fact-
children.
14 missing
Oh,
children.
trust me, we've gotten to 14 with all of William's murders. We found it everywhere.
Yeah.
No, it's just the Slender Man collect my 14 missing children.
Collect my 14.
Collect my children.
Wait.
My name,
so
my name is
14
William
missing
Afton.
children.
Find my children.
Oh, I found another one the other day in
Is
Pizzeria
more
Simulator.
14?
At the start, there's 3
14.
kids, then 5 kids, then 5 kids, and then the last kid is when Shadow Freddy starts
no.
glitching
The
everywhere.
14th
and
one.
it's 1400, yeah,
Oh,
and it's 1400 points that you're trying to reach and you can't get
Of
it.
course,
God
it's
damn it,
1400
Scott.
points.
Also, another thing, I said this to you, T-Dread, and you told me to shut up right away afterwards.
T-Dread bullying? No. What? No.
I would never antagonize anyone. Well,
So,
elaborate.
and I was like, let's go looking through all the FNAF games for any 14s, right? And then I went to Sister Location, and I looked at the FNAF 4 dots, and there were specifically 14 dots throughout the maps of the FNAF 4 location.
My God.
Jesus.
The
And then you
break
told me
room.
to shut up instantly.
Have we considered 2, 4, and 5 being the mystery numbers of security breach, and 2 times 5 is 10 plus 4 is 14?
Stop.
Hey, yo.
Oh.
Michael Afton was 14
Well,
years
Scott
old.
was trying to
Like,
tell.
everyone
That's
made
what
a 14 meme video.
Scott was trying to explain 14 theory to Steelwool, but it was too big brained, so they just
Yeah,
like
they
put
just
Burntrap
couldn't
at the end.
understand it. I was telling you to put specific
How many
14 in
Nightmare
specific
Elm
places.
plushies are there?
Oh
How many
god.
Nightmare
How many
Elm
are there?
plushies
How many
there?
Nightmare
Believe
Elms?
me- Would you believe me if I told
How
you?
many are there?
Would you believe me if I told you William Afton has 14 letters?
Oh my
Oh my god.
W-I-L-L-I.
You shouldn't
No,
believe it because
no,
that's not true.
Well,
It's 12.
that's 12.
I was like, wait a minute.
How dare you?
I didn't say it was true. I said, would you believe me?
I would have.
Hey, if you put after.
I would. You're
period
right, Toast.
If you count the space in between and after.
Vengeful spirit is 14 letters.
The full stop.
Vengeful spirit is
The fact that
14 letters.
Rytos
I just
is
want-
actually making jokes about my theory is amazing.
You coming up with 14 Fury is insane.
It is. Vengeful spirit is
Is
14 letters.
Is there a video on? Is there a video on 14 Theory I can go watch?
There's
I
several.
can't-
Yeah.
on my channel.
Yeah, it's on Narrow
There's
Ravens.
several.
Okay.
How
Don't
dare
worry,
you
Oh,
not
you don't have to
subscribe
watch
to me?
7-hour
this
live
one's-
stream
this
like
one's
I
I
did.
legitimate.
am subscribed to you.
Wait.
I just haven't been watching YouTube.
This one's legitimate.
Wait.
Elizabeth Afton does have 14 letters in it. I will say that.
Elizabeth is the only one.
She's Golden Freddy. I knew it.
We're gonna follow it in one sheet, timeline.
What?
I mean, depending on the timeline, wouldn't she be the final victim? Like I said, depending.
Depending on the
Well,
timeline.
depending on the
I
timeline.
Elizabeth
genuinely
Afton
think
is
Not
the
my
one who should
timeline,
not
but I
have
can
killed.
see it.
MCI.
Yeah.
I
I think she might even be
Please
before
don't.
the MCI.
Older
I
interpretation.
think she's before the
yes.
MCI, definitely.
Go back to the time.
Anyone-
When did I do that? When did I do that baby impression that freaked everybody
Chris.
out?
It was on our
Wait, you
first
have a baby
podcast.
impression?
Oh no.
Oh my gosh, my
I wanna
favorite one
hear
is
it.
like, I wonder what a freshly opened pint of ice cream
That's not bad.
would feel about something with that
What?
name.
That's good. That's good.
It's
That's
called-
good.
That
It's
It's
unsettling.
because, dummy, it's the room they keep the scooper. I want to be a cartoon supervillain so bad.
Yeah.
When
Oh, we all.
does the term vengeful spirit come from the game? So did like the fandom just make that up?
It's
No,
the
no,
casting.
it'd be
The
the-
casting.
On the voice acting.
Yeah.
It's the voice
Yeah.
of casting. Yep.
Okay, because I hate to inform you again. This one is legitimate.
Vengeful
Vengeful
Spirit
spirit is
Jesus.
14.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Chat has
my
been mashing
God.
that. Chat's been mashing it.
Okay.
I think I might.
Okay,
be pregnant
I have-
with my
14 Theory is real.
child.
I have another revelation for you
Oh
guys.
my goodness.
No.
The one you shouldn't have killed is 14 letters.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. There's no shot.
The one you should not
How
have
many
killed
letters
is
is-
7 words though.
And sometimes
Yeah,
it's
it is.
14,
Yeah.
There were two
Oh,
you should have
7.
killed.
Whoa.
Cassidy and
Nobody
Cassidy
has a
Andrews
list
is
for
14
how
letters.
many Nightmare Own plushes are in Security Breach. I've been
Look,
looking for, like,
if there's
5
if there's 14,
There is okay. There's not 14. There's like 4 or 5.
There's more than that. I thought that was like 7.
I'm
or
pretty
8.
sure there's way more than that.
seven,
I'm-
seven,
Not
seven.
including Ruin and Help Wanted too.
Well, okay, not including those. There's one in Help Wanted 2. There's one in
We
Ruin.
made brownies, and also stream has gone 2 hours over.
Yeah, that is true.
Oh yeah, this
Yeah,
was
let's
wrap it up.
Originally, this was gonna be an hour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we ended up pulling everybody hostage. I'm surprised
Yeah,
nobody had to leave.
T-Dreads.
But yeah, we're gonna wrap it up because
I
I know
told
that.
You know what
I'll
time
be
it is for me?
hour.
real. I'll be super real. I have been like editing on the side for the past like hour and a half.
He's been being productive
Multitasking at his
anyway.
finest.
I've been reading a book.
No offense
I'm
for
just doing an
everyone.
art
I did my
trade.
Duolingo while we were here.
Hey,
Oh,
So,
fuck, my
yeah.
Duolingo
I pulled
stream.
some Pokemon cards.
We held 300 viewers for this many hours.
We
Yeah, this is
peaked at
pretty
like
crazy.
400.
proud of
we peaked at like 400.
We were at
Pretty crazy.
400 for a little bit.
That's crazy.
I'm so proud of us.
Squawks, we should do an art trade.
I'll just
draw
put
you
all
a
your
similar
names in the
picture.
description even when you're not here.
Yeah.
They're here in
Okay,
spirit.
all with really
guys.
big orange eyes.
Oh, there's
Hey,
another
anybody-
Nightmarian in Ruins Chapter 1.
Anybody out there will edit a video for me for some free art. Not really free, but you know what I mean. Let me know, please. I'll draw you something.
might do it.
don't-
I'll just do it for fun.
Somebody that has.
I'd do it.
If there
honestly.
are 7 Nightmare
I like
Yones,
editing,
DM
I'll
now,
do it.
Raven.
No, seriously, somebody DM me. I haven't. I got the rough cut done, and then I gave up.
All right, we'll sign off now
if you
though.
could do like an avatar of my character, I'm down. Yeah, I think
Been
this is a
hiding
good
them
place
hostage
to wrap
too
up.
long.
It's
All right,
4
chat.
a.m. for
Everybody
me.
say
I'm sleepy.
goodbye, quick. I want to see a bunch of goodbyes in the chat.
Bye.
What the
Matane.
fuck was that?
What?
Yeah, chat.
Bye, chat. Bye, chat. Bye,
Everyone say
chat.
14 Theories
Bye.
canon.
Hope
Just the
everyone
purple
has a great day.
goss.
Y'all stay
Yeah.
safe.
14
Bye.
Theories
14
canon.
Theories
14
canon.
Theories canon.
14 Theories canon.
It's actually the
14
only.
Theories
It's
canon.
actually the only
Goodbye,
canon of
chat
FNAF
view.
theory. JoJo's wrong. Gibby's wrong.
Candy Bunny,
Underscore
I
all
still want
videos
a
are wrong.
collaboration.
14 Theories is the only canon that was
Theory
ever
and
made.
Jackie's Fox are the only real canon.
14 Theories, Jackie's box.
No, and Andrew, tell
My name
her.
is David. Dad.
I want some ice cream. David, that is my name. David, I want another. David, where is my ball?
Where is my ball?
It's going
I'm
out.
running out on the road.
There is a